me just check the old. Hey, everybody. Today we're debating Christianity versus Islam, which is better for society. And we are starting right now with Muslim Apologist opening statement. Thanks for being with us. Muslim Apologist, the floor is all yours.
All right. Thank you, James, for that open. So I begin with Assalamu ala man ittaba al-huda. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amma ba'd. So today we are examining two worldviews, Islam and Christianity, and their respective capacities to foster cohesive, just, and thriving society. So I'll be sharing my slides. Give me a moment. So can you see my slides?
All clear.
All right, awesome. So I'll be pleading for the case for Islam. It is my position that Islam presents a viable Weltanschauung that unites law, ethics, and culture under the principles of Tawhid, promoting societal harmony. To evaluate this, I'll be proposing a consistent framework which consists of unity of vision, human nature and responsibility, reason and revelation, social ethics, blueprint for civilization.
One last thing is, just in case you meant to share your slides, I think technically we're actually seeing a Word document now that I look more closely. So just so you know, if you need to share a different window, you can.
Oops.
Let me know if that is the case, though.
That's not the one that I'm supposed to be sharing.
Okay, no problem. And
so
thanks
this
to
is
your.
the one.
There you go. We see it crystal clear.
All right. Sorry, I just shared across my speech, my text speech. Okay. So anyway, to continue. Okay. This comparison is not about individual believers or flawed political regimes. We are going to examine each religion's ideal teaching, Sharia versus biblical law, as comprehensive systems, not isolated moral sayings. Historical focus will center on formative periods, basically Islam's golden age and medieval Christendom, since later developments in the West reflect secular, not scriptural values. And with that in mind, let us begin. So the first criterion in the framework, unity of vision. Islam's concept of Tawhid ensures a consistent worldview where spiritual beliefs seamlessly inform legal systems, ethical norms, and cultural expressions. This unity is also evident in Islamic art and architecture, which reflect cosmic harmony. Conversely, Christianity's delineation between religious and secular spheres has resulted in diverse national traditions and at times conflicting moral standards, leading to societal discord. Now the second point, human nature and responsibility. Islam teaches that humans are born in a state of purity, known as fitrah, and every Muslim are accountable for their actions. Christianity, however, with its doctrine of original sin, posits that humans inherit guilt, necessitating redemption through external means. This can lead to a dependency on institutional absolution rather than encouraging individual moral agency. Now the third point, reason and revelation. Islamic civilization has long harmonized revelation with reason. The Islamic Golden Age saw scholars like Ibn Sina or Avicenna, whose canon of medicine became a foundational text in both the Islamic world and Europe, and Ibn al-Haytham al-Hazan, whose work in optics laid the groundwork for the scientific method. In contrast, Christianity's historical relationship with scientific inquiry has been complex, exemplified by the condemnation of Galileo for advocating heliocentrism, a theory now universally accepted. Now for the fourth criterion in the framework, societal ethics. Islam mandates social justice through structured obligations such as zakat, obligatory tif, and wakaf endowments, ensuring wealth redistribution and support for the needy. Christianity, however, emphasizes voluntary charity and often defers ultimate justice to the afterlife, which can result in a less systematic approach to addressing social inequalities. Blueprint for civilization. Islam offers a complete civilizational model, legal, economic, and cultural, rooted in divine guidance. Its prohibition of usury and promotion of ethical finance aim to ensure fairness. Christianity, lacking a unified legal economic framework, frequently differs to secular institutions, which may contradict religious values. Islam exemplifies justice and mercy in action. Islam offers a complete civilizational model. Islamic law, through principles like qisas, equitable retribution, balances justice, adl, with mercy, deterring crime while allowing for forgiveness. Christian teachings like turn the other cheek promote non-violence, but when taken into isolation, it risks overlooking justice and enabling harm. Looking at contemporary data, empirical data supports Islam's emphasis on moral clarity and social cohesion. In Muslim-majority countries, according to Pew Research here, which I've shared across, such as those in Southeast Asia, large majorities reject social vices like prostitution. In contrast, Christian-majority nations have grown increasingly secular, with diminishing religious influence on public ethics and policy. So to conclude, while Christianity offers ideals, Islam delivers real solutions. Islam's integrated approach, rooted in Tawhid, fitrah, and structured social obligations, provides a cohesive framework for societal excellence. Christianity's compartmentalized ideals, while spiritually profound, often rely on secular systems to address societal needs. Historical and contemporary evidence suggests that civilizations flourish under comprehensive, divinely guided frameworks that harmonize spiritual, legal, and social dimensions. So my question to those, to my opponent as well as those in the audience who are watching right now is, can a society thrive without unity, justice, and divine guidance? And as the Quran says, thus we have made you a justly balanced nation so that you may be witnesses over the people. And this is from Surah number 2, verse 143. And this is the Islamic vision for society. And these are the references that I've used in preparations of my opening statement. And yeah, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much for that opening statement. I'm going to kick it out of screen share mode and welcome our other debate opponent today, Apostate Prophet. Thanks so much for being with us, Apostate Prophet. The floor is AP.
Thank you to Emmy and Jay, and thanks to James for arranging this. I know this is an important debate in preparation of another debate that we will be having soon. And I want to briefly talk about how Christianity is better for society than Islam. It's not a very difficult topic. It's actually very easy to establish. I do want to share my screen very briefly here. Let's do this. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen right here. I'm going to share my screen right here. Let's see. Is this it? Yes, this is it. Okay, so on my screen, you can see, please write it. Oh, sorry, the wrong screen. Right. Please write a script. Wrong screen. Wait a minute. Sorry, wrong screen. All right. Anyway, let me not share my screen here. Let me just argue. From all jokes aside, I'm sorry, Emmy and G, I had to do it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I don't want to be rude. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. So I want to argue today that Christianity is better for society than Islam. We can look at the world around us and realize that Islamic societies are quite bad, quite backward, quite lowly, quite difficult, and very, very bad when it comes to a track record in human rights. You look at the world, you look at the Muslim world. When it comes to human rights, you will find that that living standards are generally extremely low in Muslim countries. You will find that the happiest countries in the world with most life satisfaction will not include Muslim countries. They are usually Western countries or Christian countries or post-Christian countries. You will find that high social status, high social development, high health, individual freedoms, individual liberty, and so on is high in non-Muslim nations and Christian and post-Christian nations. The happiest nations in the world, the nations with the highest human development on the Human Development Index, and quality of life will be countries that are in Scandinavia, that are in Western Europe, that have a Christian background, that are currently Christian countries or post-Christian societies, meaning that Christianity established the society. Right now, it is very much built on secular ideas, but at the core still very Christian, because Christianity is what influences and what creates modern liberal democratic societies and so on. So this is basically where you get the idea from that Christianity, in comparison to Islam, creates proper societies. With Islam, it's quite obvious what we have. You mentioned, for example, my opponent MENJ, for example, mentions that, or the Muslim Apologist mentions that. That Islam is proven to have social cohesion. When we talk about social cohesion, what we're talking about here is very important. We have to point out what exactly social cohesion means and what is meant here. By social cohesion, it is meant that it keeps through a set of laws a society together, entrenched to each other, without allowing them. Right, without allowing them the possibility to go into different directions. So Islam is a very collectivist system, which emphasizes that everyone has to work for the collective. It is basically like, it has very much in common with socialism and with communism, with the USSR, just that it goes into a different direction. With the Soviet Union, the emphasis was to establish a state atheism and to establish a labor-based religion where everyone has to work or else, and nobody can conspire against the government. With Islam, you have a similar system where there is a collective purpose. Everyone has to serve the state. Everyone has to serve the Islamic government. Everyone has to serve the Islamic forces, the Islamic powers that be. Those who go their own way are usually punished or forced out, and so on. People who apostatize, people who leave Islam, are punished with death. This is the law in Islam. This is the traditional law in Islam. People who leave Islam are punished by death. This means that you have to be loyal to the state. You have to be loyal to the political system at hand. You have to be loyal to the Islamic state and Islamic governance and Islamic laws. If you leave it, you are basically seen as a traitor, as somebody who has turned his back, not just on his own personal relationship with God, but on his government, on the powers that are. And that this person should be punished. This is done in order to preserve the social cohesion. So the social cohesion is not preserved by installing a beautiful system that teaches people how to live together. The social cohesion is preserved by forcing people to abide by what you have. We have tried this in the past. Islamic societies have tried this in the past. This is why the Islamic Caliphate, as it was, Islam in the past, instead of Western nations, which were independent nations that were following their traditions and that were following Christianity, Islamic society was bound under an Islamic empire, an Islamic caliphate. Ibn Khaldun, an early historian, very, very famously said that what makes Islam different from Christianity and Judaism is that Christianity and Judaism don't have a universal mission, whereas Islam does have a universal mission, where the head of the state and the head of the army are one and the same, and everyone has to obey the head of the state state, and the head of the state has to spread the religion to the entire world by will or by force. So this is what it is. In Islam, you get child marriage, you get the mistreatment of women, you treat a half of society, which are women, in a very crippled way. Imagine a body with two legs. You basically shoot one of those legs and you make it then walk like that. Islam is like that. In Islam, women don't contribute anything to society because they're not seen as part of the functioning society. It is all to men. And the men oppress the women and instate things like cruelty toward each other. They're not encouraged to be good to each other. They are told that they must obey these laws to get treats from Allah and disobey and not obey these things. Not do these things, otherwise they will be punished by Allah. In Christianity, you don't have that. Muslim Apologist says that that Christianity doesn't instill these good values. The Christianity is very much built on the idea. A very, very important idea, in a very important thing in Christianity is the Sermon on the Mount, with Jesus teaching people how to be and how to attain salvation by being a proper person, by being a proper human who cares for the others, who gives in charity, who lifts up people, and so on. Which is why in America, for example, and in Western nations in general, those who give charity most statistically are Christians, and then Jews. Muslims not so much. You can't really find them very much among people who frequently in high shares give charities. So maybe forcing people to give charities maybe is not the right way, because obviously if you simply tell people to give charity and to be good, they seem to do it much better than if you force them to give charities. So if you force them to give charities, you don't teach them to be good people. You simply teach them to be obedient and to put their hands in their pockets and give money to others even if they don't want to. This is what Islam teaches. Islam treats people like lesser beings that have to be disciplined in order to be good, whereas Christianity treats people like humans that can learn what it means to be a good person. Which is why Christianity creates better societies, as we have seen today in the world, and Islam creates failure, which is why Muslims go to the Western world. That's it.
Thank you very much for that opening statement as well. Before we jump into the open dialogue, I do want to mention, folks, this is a huge stream, not only because of this huge debate, but also because
I forgive you.
I appreciate that. And I want to say, folks, wow, there it is. All right, thanks for your patience, folks. Is this one, and then we'll bring this one up. Folks, thanks for your patience. So, what I wanted to show you is right now, Modern Day Debate is doing a fundraiser. This is for lenses that we will use over and over and over. A GoFundMe is linked in the description box right now. This is just financially smarter. We also have a huge sense of urgency because these will also be used in our collaborative debates. So, for example, if you have not heard, if you've been living on Mars in a cave with your fingers in your ears, I want to show you this. Andrew Wilson and AP will be debating on whether or not Christians should support Zionism. That's later this month. You don't want to miss it. That's one of the events where we will be using these camera lenses. We need to purchase them within 1 week in order to actually use them for this event. So do join me on this crowdfund, which is linked in the description. I'll pin it in the chat, and help us put on these epic in-person debates. With that, we're going to kick it into the open dialogue. Thanks very much. Gentlemen, the floor is all yours for open dialogue.
Yes. Thank you. So this is open dialogue section, right? Muslim Apologist. I think you're muted, aren't you?
No,
Yeah.
I'm okay. Sorry. Yeah, I was muted. Yeah, I mean, I was saying that you could go first if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say here. So we have, as said, we have lots of data on human rights. You can check all the you can check all the lists that we have out there in the world, which is when it comes to the women's rights, when it comes to liberty, when it comes to quality of life, and so on. You will find that Christianity is at the top, or that Christian societies are at the top, whereas Muslim societies are not. We see the state of Muslim society. So if we are going to talk about whether Christianity or Islam are better for society, we see the results of both, right? We see the fruits, as we say, of both of these. And it seems that even Muslims, considering that they want to travel and immigrate to Western nations in masses all the time still, know very well, just like everybody else, that the Christian fruits are better than the Islamic fruits. Nobody wants to eat the Islamic fruits.
Yeah, I actually have a lot to say about your opening statement. I find that you seem to have ignored most of my opening statement, the points that I made in my opening statement, because I clearly stated that there's no such thing as a Christian society today. Most of what we see now in the Christian West are secularized, and they are, Christian societies are basically currently under a secular system. So if you want to talk about human rights, women liberties, freedom of religion, etc., these are all born from secularism in the West. So it has
That's not
nothing
true.
whatsoever to do with the
How
Christianity.
do you imagine a Christian society?
What do you mean it is not true? You just all you need to do is just take a look at medieval Europe and see how.
Okay, how do you imagine a
Christianity was
Christian
practiced.
society? How do you imagine a Christian society?
How would I imagine a Christian society? That's actually a question you should ask yourself, because I think if you read the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament, I think it's pretty much clear. Like, for example, you bring up the issue about apostasy, why Muslims have laws for apostasy. I mean, back when you were an atheist, you could actually get away with doing that. But since now you have declared yourself to be a Christian, I don't think you can do this anymore, because
you understand why I ask you what your understanding of a Christian society is, because you say that there are no Christian societies today. So in order to make that claim, you would have to establish what a Christian society is in order to then explain why today's societies are not Christian societies. So in your view, what is a Christian society supposed to be?
A Christian society would be a society that follows the laws of the Bible.
Such
as medieval Europe, for example. I think they tried their best to follow the laws.
Such as what laws? Medieval Europe is not a law. What laws, for example?
What do you mean, whatever laws? I mean, there's so many examples in medieval Europe. I mean, I can't think of any particular example, but you could take a look at how.
So you can't judge. So you can't look at Christian societies today or post-Christian societies, and
there's no such thing as a Christian society today. That's the point.
Okay, why? 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 That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking you. I
was just going to explain that. Okay, according to just now you were mentioning about the apostasy laws, right? You say that Islam does this and that against apostate. Sure, but the problem with your claim is that since now you're already a Christian, you should take a look at Deuteronomy 13, where it says that, kill all the apostates, those who believe in other gods. So as a Christian who claim to believe in the Bible, why are you not following that law?
Because Muslim apologists, I'm kind of surprised that you would actually bring this up, considering that you are somebody who has engaged with interreligious, debates for a very long time, and you make yourself out to be as somebody who understands what he's talking about and as kind of an authority on these topics. So
I do.
You should be aware that that there is a concept in Christianity which is called the law, right? The old covenant and the new covenant, and it is very, very clear in the Christian Bible and in Christianity that that Christians, that the followers of Jesus are not supposed to enact the laws that were binding upon the Jewish population in the Old Testament. This is why it's a New Testament, a new covenant, where Jesus comes and says take this of my new covenant for you. So Paul explains it very, 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 very clearly that that Christians are not meant to to be bound under the law. He himself was still observing it. But Christians from very early on did not observe it. And it was always known to be for Jews, whereas the Gentiles, who are coming in and who are now basically becoming the majority of the religion of Christianity, were never meant to be under the law. Even in Judaism, it's very obvious. In Judaism, non-Jews are not supposed to follow the law. So it's not a very new, fantastic thing that Christians would come and say, oh, we don't have to follow it. Jews themselves would confirm that Gentiles wouldn't have to follow the law.
Yeah, I would argue that Paul is not a true Christian. Okay, Paul made up his own religion. He made up his own gospel. According to his own words in the epistles, he said that I come to you to preach a gospel, a different gospel. If you read Matthew 5:17, chapter 5, verse 17, you will find that Jesus himself said that, do not think I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. See, this is a clear statement from Jesus, where Jesus himself said that, Christians, those who claim to follow the ethics of Jesus, are supposed to be following the laws of Moses as well.
So this is a very funny thing.
Unfortunately, Christians are not doing that, including
so
you.
You're saying that Christians are not real Christians who don't follow Christianity properly.
You're not.
But then
Definitely not.
But then you declare that Paul is not a real Christian, and you reject Paul's Christianity.
I definitely reject everything that Paul said.
What kind of Christianity are you talking about then? And didn't you just contradict yourself, considering that you said that medieval Christians were following Christianity properly, but then you also said that Paul was not a Christian. So where exactly what Christianity are you talking about? If medieval Christians were following Christianity, they were following the Christianity of Paul. Where exactly do you get this idea from that? Let's
reverse.
No, you just contradicted yourself.
I'm not contradicting myself.
You just admitted to me that Christians are not bound by the law, but then you also argue that Christianity has to follow the law, despite the fact that you admit that according to Paul they don't.
I know what I said. I know what I said. Okay, I know what I said.
We all know.
Okay, so can you please let me explain right from the beginning so that you understand the context of where I'm coming from?
Sure. Yes. Go ahead.
All right, and please don't interrupt me. Okay.
Yes.
So the timeline is Jesus came to preach the gospel, to the good news, and to tell the Jews to repent. Okay, this is in Matthew chapter, I think it's in chapter 3. Okay, and then when Jesus ascended to the heavens, 40 years later, along come this guy called Paul. So Paul, he claimed to have received visions of Jesus on his way to Damascus, although ironically, this was only recorded in Acts, but none of these experiences of him meeting Jesus on his way to Damascus was ever mentioned in the epistles. So Paul concocted this idea that Jesus came as a sinless man because all mankind has been born with sin due to the original sin of Adam alayhi salam, who ate the forbidden apple, and I believe you know the story. So long story short, Paul created his own ideals, his own framework. Okay, we're not going to, the topic of the debate is basically about Islam and Christianity in society, so which is best of society, so I'm not going to go into detail about this. But long story short, again, Paul's ideals of Christianity, or what you call Christianity today, is totally different from the ethics of Jesus. So clearly, if you look at the Gospels, you'll find that Jesus followed the law. He practiced as a Jew. Okay. He did everything as a Jew would. Okay. But Paul didn't do this. Paul said that the law is a curse, that Christians should not follow the law. Christians can do this, Christians can do this, which is totally opposite of what Jesus taught.
Okay, can I share my screen here, James, for a second to show Muslim Apologist something? Okay, sure. So I want to read to you from the Bible now, and this is not from Paul. This is directly from Matthew. So I want to read, since you claim that Jesus followed the law completely, I want to read something to you here, and you can explain to me what exactly this is. So here we have it. So here we have Jesus is the Lord of the Sabbath. Matthew 12:1-8. At the time Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath. His disciples were hungry and began to pick some heads of grain and eat them. When the Pharisees saw this, they said to him, "Look, your disciples are doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath. Every Jew knows that on the Sabbath you're not supposed to do these things." He answered, "Haven't you read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered the house of God, and he and his companions ate the consecrated bread, which was not lawful for them to do, but only for the priests. Or haven't you read in the law that the priests on Sabbath duty in the temple desecrate the Sabbath and yet are innocent? I tell you that something greater than the temple is here. I tell you that something greater than the temple is here. If you had known what these words mean, I desire mercy, not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the innocent. For the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath." This is, if you understand the lingo here, this is Jesus declaring himself to be God and to be the ruler over the Sabbath. And thereby saying, you guys don't know the law. If you did know, you would not talk like this, and basically justifying his own disciples breaking the Sabbath law. And then we have something else, which is Jesus directly saying, Jesus called the crowd to him and said, "Listen to me, everyone, and understand this. Nothing outside a person can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles them." He then further says, "Don't you see that nothing that enters a person from the outside can defile them, for it doesn't go into their heart, but into their stomach, and then out of the body." In saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. This is after Jesus repeatedly eats with folks that are not that he's not supposed to be eating with. Participates in non-Jewish activities that are forbidden in the Old Covenant, that are forbidden on Sabbath, and so on. These are just few examples here, just two examples of Jesus clearly breaking the law of the Old Covenant, breaking the law of the Sabbath. Here he's breaking the law, and even verbally, directly, and explicitly declaring what is forbidden allowed, meaning food that is not kosher, he declares kosher, he declares allowed for everyone. He says basically all food is allowed. Yet you are telling me here that he perfectly followed the law. Now, who are we supposed to believe, you or the Gospels?
That's not what the verses are saying. Okay,
Oh, yeah. What does it say?
I think you totally misunderstand, and you're using the same arguments that David Wood did against Alex. Okay, so as for the on the issue of the Lord of the Sabbath, I think Alex O'Connor has already explained that, and I agree with his position somewhat. But my take on it would be that as a whole, okay, Jesus came to reform the laws of the Jews. Okay, he as Matthew 5:17 clearly says, he has no intention of abolishing the law, but to fulfill the law. What does he mean by fulfilling the law? So it means that Jesus wanted to reform the law so that it is less harsh, less abusive, and more applicable for in terms of ethics and morality. Because when Jesus came, he preached the idea of empathy and love into the laws of the Jews. No, he did not break the law. He reformed the law, but he did not break the law. He reformed the laws.
So now you're redefining what it means. So he changes the law, but you are telling me that you're
saying that it's a change of the law. For me, it's not a change of the law. It's just a reform of the ethics. He did not say in the verse that you cited. Did the verse that you cited anyway says that Jesus allowed for pork to be consumed?
He said that nothing that comes out from your body into your body defiles you.
Then why was it that in the story of Acts that when Paul was preaching things that were against the law, why against the Jewish law, why did the apostles Peter and James, why were they upset with Paul, and they wanted to summon him to the council and ask him directly, why are you trying to change the law?
I feel like this debate should be more about your misunderstanding of Christianity than about Islam versus Christianity. What is better for society? The whole idea is that there are initial internal disagreements on whether the law applies to Jews or not. Paul himself is a Jew. The early disciples are all Jews, and Paul makes it very, very clear. What?
Of course, they were all Jews. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were all Jews, but they also have an influx of Gentiles coming into the religion, into the faith. So the early discussions are about whether Gentiles who enter the religion have to follow the law as is, including circumcision, for example, or not. Circumcision is actually a discussion in the New Testament, and the conclusion is basically that the law no longer applies to those who
That was what Paul wrote.
to
That
whom
was not what
Jesus
the-
to whom Jesus
That was not what
brought
they-
salvation.
that was not what the apostles agreed with.
You don't make any sense. You're completely contradicting yourself.
I'm
you
not
just-
contradicting myself at all.
You just argued. You just argued that
I'm just
Paul
telling
had
you
a-
what I'm just telling you what happened in Acts. That's all. Yeah, I'm just telling you what happened.
You're just
in
telling me
Acts.
that Paul has a discussion with
Yeah.
the others on whether
Why
to
did
follow the
Paul?
law
Why
or
did
not.
Paul? Why did Paul and Barnabas had such a great disagreement that they had to split from each other? Why don't you answer that?
Are you gonna let me talk or not?
Barnabas was a follower of Peter and James.
Are you gonna let me talk or not?
Sorry?
Are you gonna let me talk or not?
Sure, go ahead.
So we have two issues here, which is that on the one hand, you argue that according to the Gospels, the law has to be followed word for word.
Yes.
You say to me initially that that the Jews are meant to, or that Christians, as instructed by Jesus, have to follow the law of Moses, right? That's what you said earlier.
Basically.
We can go back. You said that they have to follow the laws of Moses. Then I bring to you the evidence where Jesus directly breaks the Sabbath, not for something non-essential, not for something essential by the way, not for an emergency, but rather for picking grain. And he then explains that he is the Lord of the Sabbath, and he declares it allowable and permissible, and accuses the priests and the Pharisees of misunderstanding or of making a false judgment because they don't know what they're dealing with. He further declares all forbidden foods clean. So he declares that no food is hereby any longer unclean. Then, however, when I bring this up, you say to me that he came to reform the law to make it more human. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
didn't you just say a few minutes ago that they were supposed to follow the law of Moses? Now
I
you're telling me that that he came to reform the law, to change the laws of Moses, to make it more humane. What do you mean more humane? It's about basically declaring food legal.
I don't want to
Yeah,
go too far down this rabbit hole just because
Yeah.
in terms of the broader question of whether or not Christianity or Islam is better for society, this is more in the weeds on theology and consistency. So
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
just want to redirect us back.
Yeah, I feel that we are already we're going to divert away from the actual topic. So
Okay, I just want to briefly respond to your issue on Acts. So Acts 15 is the relevant part to read here. I'm not sure if you have read it, but if you go in Acts 15, if you go into Acts 15
I've read
and follow the discussion on the law, this is not Peter. This is not Paul. This is literally Peter himself saying, "Now then, why do you try to test God by putting on the necks of Gentiles a yoke that neither we nor our ancestors have been able to bear? No, we believe it is through the grace of our Lord Jesus that we are saved, just as they are." So this is his response to imposing the law and imposing circumcision and all those things to others. You can find the context here very easily. I don't want to read the whole chapter here, but Acts 15:5 specifically talks about Gentiles must be circumcised, required to keep the law of Moses, and so on. And the conclusion here, not by Paul, but by Peter, is that no, they don't. We rely on salvation through Jesus by grace. So we went down this whole discussion here because this is not even a topic, because you wanted to argue that Christianity is actually a legal system that everybody has to follow, but they just don't follow it, which is why there are no examples for Christian society. This shows that you don't even understand what Christianity is, because this is not Christianity. In Christianity, we don't have a strict set of laws that everybody has to follow. Christianity came against that. Christianity is an opposition to the legalism in the time of Jesus. This is very, very much known. We don't have written laws. We have morals. We have guidance that people go by, which is very different from what Islam is, where Islam imposes strict laws and rewards and punishes people based on whether they follow those laws or not. So no, there is no such thing as a true Christianity that everyone is supposed to follow, and so on. We're talking about Christianity as it is, as it has been historically, as it is today. We have Christian societies, post-Christian societies, and those Christian societies and post-Christian societies, look, I'm saying it right here, I'm saying post-Christian societies are significantly better than the Islamic societies.
I feel I have to repeat myself over and over again. The Christian societies that you have now are not Christian in reality. They're all societies that are influenced by secularism.
Okay, cool.
I think I've already mentioned this so many times.
What am I supposed to say about that? Okay, you don't accept that they are Christian societies. Okay, so what?
There's no Christian society. There's no such thing as a Christian society.
Then there is no point to. Then there is no point to debate this.
I mean, in terms of following the ethics of Jesus, because you don't follow the ethics of Jesus anyway in the first place. Okay,
yeah.
So yeah. So, anyways, I wanted to point out one thing.
Can you show me where you find in Jesus's teachings these ethics that you're looking for, and where you find commands by Jesus that Christians should be following the strict letter of the law and applying punishment?
I did not say anything about Christians having to follow every single letter of the law as interpreted
Before we go too far
by the Jews. Okay, what I meant is the ethics of Jesus, the laws that Jesus reformed. Like, for example, Jesus said about adultery. He said that it is stated in the law that you must stone the adulterer, but I say to you, not just stoning the adulterer, you should pluck out your eyes before even thinking of stoning. So these are all laws that Jesus reformed. He didn't abolish the law, he just reformed the law. Okay.
Do you think Jesus was literally commanding people to pluck out their eyes?
No, it's a metaphor, of course. But my point is that Jesus did not abolish the law. He did not say, "Oh, you Jews, do not stone the adulterers. Do not do this. Do not do that.
Excuse me.
You can go ahead and eat pork." Did Jesus say this? Can you tell me if Jesus said this?
Don't you know the story of Mary Magdalene?
Yes, of course I do know of it. Yeah. What's wrong with it?
What did Jesus do?
Maybe you can refresh my you can point out exactly what you mean, because
she is brought forth as an adulteress.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah,
and Jesus is put to the test to decide what should happen to her, because they want to stone her.
Oh, that's story. No,
Jesus doesn't. Jesus basically tells them, he who is without sin should throw the first stone. And they all walk away. The conclusion there is that she's not to be stoned before.
Yeah. Do you know that story is considered to be an interpolation? None of the elements says it.
Wonderful. Right? So now you want to reanalyze the text of the Gospels and tell us what is and is not the true text of the Gospel.
I don't understand what your point is. The story is a false story. So what's the problem?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Muslim apologists. According to me, there is no reason to believe that the Quran that we have today is the original Quran as Muhammad revealed it from his mouth to his followers.
I think you are starting to divert away from the topic, because the topic.
Now I'm diverting it. Right. So
I'll give you a chance to wrap up, AP, on this point, and then I do want to direct us back to the broader question.
The Quran. There is no reason to believe that the Quran we have today is the Quran that Muhammad spoke word for word. There's no reason to believe that the Quran we have today is the one that his followers actually accurately and fully compiled.
Sure.
So I could now argue that the Quran presents a wrong text that was not originally true, which is why I disregard the laws of the Quran. But that is not the point here. The point of the discussion of the debate here is we have Islam, a religion as it was established based on the texts that we have, and I judge that religion. And then we have Christianity based on the scriptures and texts that we have, which were there throughout history. That's how we judge Christianity. It doesn't matter what you believe about the manuscripts and whether the verses were originally there or not. Christianity is the religion that teaches that Jesus said, "He who is without sin, throw the first stone." That's Christianity. It doesn't matter what you think about the verses.
You're not even following that. That's the problem.
We might have any other last topics that you guys, I want to give you a chance. I mean, if you have thoughts, but I do also want to when I'm done with this sentence though, I also want to mention that we do want to go into the Q&A shortly. So if you guys have any sort of final threads you'd like to draw together from this, at the end of this sentence if you have any final threads you'd like to draw together from this debate, this is a great opportunity to do that before we jump into the Q&A.
Yeah, I mean, I've already made my opening statement, I made some statements about Christian societies, about Islamic societies. I find it interesting, or I find it strange that my opponent, Idemir, did not even address anything that I said in the opening statement. Instead, he just diverts into ethics and into the law, which I already tried to explain. But of course, I did not want to go into detail because it will divert away from the topic. So I would like to re-divert us back to the original discussion, and there's something that strikes me as ironic, because in Idamir's opening statement, he said that women rights in Christian societies, which are actually secular societies, women are allowed to vote, and women have liberties which Islam does not give. So I wonder whether he knows history, because even women in the secular societies that he's so proud of were not allowed to vote, even in America, for example, until the 19th century, because women were just simply not given the rights to even own property until the suffrage movement.
What does it have to
So
do
it's
with
quite
anything?
it's quite strange that you say that Islam does not allow women rights, but the secular societies, or the Christian, the secular, the Christian societies that are being currently dominated by secularism and secular ideologies themselves do not have any women rights until much later in the 19th century. So I don't understand why is this a proof that Christianity is best for society. You see?
Yeah. I want to clarify one thing, which is the woman to be that was to be stoned is not scripturally or scholarly known to be Mary Magdalene. That is a conflation. Want to clarify that, as I just said it that way. However, to back to the topic, Muslim apologist. Sorry, but I don't think you realize that you are not very good at debating this topic. I'm not sure why you agree to it. I'm not sure why you're trying to argue this point. You didn't get the you didn't get the essence
so
of
I'm not good
Christianity
at
right.
debating it.
No, you didn't get the essence of Christianity right. I would like to have a discussion. I would wish to have a discussion. I recently had a debate with, what's his name, Gnostic informant, who actually had a proper understanding of the debate topic. So we had the proper debate. This is not meant to be an insult. I'm just pointing out that this is a very fruitless discussion, because
It's fruitless because you're changing the topic, and
Hold on,
you're
just
going
one sec.
into
I want to
you,
give AP
you
a chance to
changed the
finish.
topic. You changed the topic.
I didn't change anything.
You changed the topic. You talked about how there are no Christian societies, which is about
Yeah,
the meta of Christianity.
which is a matter of fact, because you don't have.
I do want to hold on
Christian
one sec,
society.
just to be sure that AP gets to finish his final thoughts
Okay,
from the
sorry
debate
about
as
that.
well.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
You turned the discussion into a discussion about the meta, about the laws, about what Christianity is and is not.
Because I wanted to explain.
Hold on,
what it is supposed
Muslim
to be
apologist,
about.
I hate to do it, but when he's mid-sentence, we got to let him at least finish that
Okay,
sentence.
sorry, I got excited. Okay.
So I don't think that there's any point to debating the topic. Very, very unfortunate and very disappointing. But we have Christian societies and post-Christian societies that developed from Christianity, from Christian culture. We see the results of those today. Every statistic shows us that a Christian society and post-Christian society fares much better. It is much better in development and quality of life. Whereas Islamic society speaks for itself. I mean, just look at the world and look at any data that lists countries by happiness, human development, and so on. This is it. I mean, end of topic.
We'll jump into the Q&A, but I do want to mention, folks, a couple of quick things. First, if you happen to have a question, you can submit it 3 ways today. So either you can tag me in the live chat with @moderndaydebate, or you can use a super chat, which will push your question to the top of the list, or you can use that GoFundMe link that is pinned to the top of the chat right now, as well as in the top of the description box. That again is a fundraiser. We are buying cameras. So from DebateCon 5, those were tremendous cameras, and we're like, hey, instead of renting these over and over and over, where it's just going to be a waste of money, we should just buy them, and then eventually, within a year, we'll actually have paid off the value of those by all that we would save by not renting anymore. So same quality, which is from DebateCon 5. Those will be used, like I said, at this upcoming debate. This is a collaborative, you could say, partnership between Uncensored America and Modern Day Debate, as we will be basically Uncensored America will be hosting Andrew Wilson and AP on whether or not Christians should support Zionism. I'll be there personally to moderate it in person, and the cameras will be used for that. So we do have a sense of urgency. We really do. If you can throw into that crowdfund as early as possible, and not only that, but if you put into the crowdfund and then let me know that you did, you can submit any super chat question that you want, no matter how long as it's, of course, appropriate. But this first one coming in from, do appreciate your question. This is from Governor Fat Ass Dog. Says, Jesus is king and Muhammad is a deer. I don't understand that. Governor, they also say, to MA, 500 people have witnessed and have given similar testimony to Jesus's resurrection. But according to your prophet, it never happened. Are you going to tell me that 500 people agreed to lie about that? I think they're thinking of in First Corinthians, Paul talks about there allegedly were 500 people who.
Yeah, I'm aware of the verse. Yeah. So I mean, I could answer that, but first of all, I just want to point out that it's quite strange that someone's asking this question, because the topic is basically Islam or Christianity, which is best for society. So regardless how many people witnessed Jesus's resurrection, it doesn't have anything to do whatsoever with the topic. So, but anyways, to answer that point, because I've been involved in Christian counter-Christian lies about Islam for so long. Paul made a lot of claims about witnesses, 500 people. In fact, there are claims in saying that there were witnesses of people seeing some people raising from their graves when Jesus cried out, and then there's so many of this in the New Testament. But in Islam, we have this sciences called isnad. So according to isnad, you need to know the name of the narrators, who are the witnesses, what are their backgrounds. So we also have this sciences called Kitab al-Rijal, which actually gives detail on the narrators, who are the people who are reporting the story, and whether this report is true or false. You don't have that in the New Testament. So who are these 500 people? What are their names? Where did they come from? Who were their parents? What was their background? Why were they there witnessing Jesus' resurrection? So this information is not available. It's just Paul claiming that 500 people or 2,000 people, it doesn't matter what the numbers are, there's no evidence for it.
Can I ask you a question? Do you believe that do you believe the accounts that that one night people asked Muhammad for a miracle, and then the moon was split in two, and he said, "Look, behold"? Do you believe in those hadiths?
We have the isnad to prove it. So yeah, of course.
So you do believe in those hadiths, that they saw the moon split in two? Okay, good.
I just mentioned that we have isnad. You don't.
Okay, good.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Apollos, Christian Apologetic, says, Muslim apologist missed the whole point on the new covenant. It never instituted a government. Therefore, Christian social policies are not necessarily theocratic.
Exactly. That's actually a very good point. Thank you for raising that, because that was exactly what I wanted to say during the open discussion. So when Jesus came to preach the gospel and telling the people to repent, he did not bring any new laws. His purpose was to reform the law, to give it, as I mentioned earlier, to give it ethics of love and mercy to the laws, which were, according to, even by AP's admission, by Adam's admission, legalistic. So the Jews of during the time of Jesus were following the law strictly, too much so to the point that it became abusive, and they were also manipulating the law at the same time. So Jesus came to reform this, and Jesus's purpose was not to institute a society. Okay, he did not bring any new laws. Therefore, even according to the ethics of Jesus, Jesus himself never said anything about how a society should be governed, how Christians should behave, how Christians should dress, how Christians should walk, because Jesus already accepted the fact that the laws of Moses, reformed by him, of course.
You make no sense. You argue that he came to reform the law, and then so that he's basically.
Let's give him a chance to finish, though.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so but anyways,
very rude of me.
But anyways, yeah. So Jesus' purpose was never about forming a society compared to Islam. When the Prophet Muhammad SAW brought the Quran, brought the law, he reformed society. Not only did he reform society, he created a new society
You got it.
from a society which preaches idolatry to one which preaches tawhid, monotheism. Yeah, that's it.
You don't make much sense, because you are on the one hand trying to argue that Jesus was just coming to reform the law and to basically tell people to follow the law, but then you also don't explain to us what kind of a difference, what kind of instructions Jesus gave for the law. So he apparently came to reform the law, but he didn't really tell anyone what to do, and he also even explicitly broke the law and
He didn't need to.
people that,
because it was already understood.
and
It was
told
already
people that
understood what it was
they
supposed
can
to do.
eat whatever they want, but he also didn't explain anything else about the law. It's just he was a very
He
poor
never
lawbringer by your understanding.
he never taught anyone to eat anything they want. That's the problem. That's your problem. Yeah.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. And thanks Isa Kabir and anonymous gifts from, or I should say for the crowdfund. Appreciate your support. We're already up to, I think it's about $75. So thanks so much for your support, folks. That means more than you know. Be a part of the upcoming debates that we host in person, as we want to, like I said, be financially clever. We'll use these camera lenses constantly. It's just way smarter with our resources to say, hey, let's buy the lenses rather than rent them over and over. So thanks, Isa. I got to be honest. I always give Isa so much crap, but I got to be honest. I'm like, hey, that guy's actually a super supporter of modern day debate. So thank you, Isa. You're making me a reformed man. And this one from Gabriel Valencia says, Muslim apologist is cherry picking. Jesus said, quote, my kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight for me. Muslims, however, are told to fight.
Jesus came for a different time period, whereas Islam came to for the world. Yeah. So of course, Jesus's Sharia would be different from that of Islam. I mean, the Islam that we know, the Sharia of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So even back before Jesus, each prophet brought their own ethics, their own set of ethics. So I don't see what's the issue here.
You got it.
He literally says, "My kingdom is not of this world." That's literally what he says.
Yeah,
there is no Sharia.
Yeah, that also means that there's no Christian society either, because the kingdom is not this. So why would you want to have a Christian society for?
No, that's not what it means. What it means is that he's not here to establish a system.
According to your interpretation,
he's not here to establish a legal system or a kingdom. That's literally what it is.
So there's no Christian society.
That's not what it means.
You just contradicted yourself. Congratulations.
No, I did not.
This one from Christian Theologetics says, is it just me or is this debate really short? It is a little bit shorter. Is Menge right now, I have to give him street cred. Both of the debaters were like, this is a really busy weekend, James. And I was like, can you do me a solid? Can we make this work? I appreciate both these guys. AP has got a packed weekend. He had a meeting with somebody yesterday where he couldn't make it yesterday and was willing to do it today. And then Menge, right now, it is, if I understand right, is it 3 in the morning there?
Yeah, it's 3 a.m. right now. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we appreciate these guys, and we're gonna get them out of here by a decent time so that MA so both of them can rest. But Even Lord says, is it halal to sell prawn or run a prawn website? I think you know what the slang prawn means, right?
Yeah, I do understand why.
It rhymes with the food corn.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know why. I know what. I don't know why this question is even raised, because the topic is basically Islam or Christianity, which is best for society. Should I even answer? I think the person is just trying to be annoying. Yeah.
This one coming in from, did I get this one? This one is Apollos, Christian Apologetics says, LOL, Jesus fulfilled the law, past tense, meaning the Old Testament is not binding. He's saying that its rightful purpose is coming to an end, not abolish violently.
I find it strange that Christians keep repeating this when I already quoted Matthew 5:17, and I'm going to repeat it again. Jesus himself said, do not think that I've come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. I mean, do you understand English? Yeah. So that's my answer.
You don't seem to understand what fulfilling the law means.
That's your interpretation, right?
He is the fulfillment of the law. So
Yeah, you're putting
he is
Christology into it. Yeah, you just inserting Christology into it.
here not to abolish the law, but to fulfill the law. He's the fulfillment of the law.
Yeah.
This is Christian understanding from the very beginning. This is traditional
Yeah,
Christian understanding
that is
that he is
Christology.
here,
Yeah.
he is here, and he gives a new covenant by his blood and his flesh to the believers, and fulfills the law that was, and fulfills the temple practices which were about sacrifice, where Jesus himself is considered the sacrifice, and those who believe him are supposed to follow him.
Yeah, you're
and
introducing Christology. You're introducing the idea of Paul
spread
into
news.
the verse.
No, this is Jesus himself in the Gospels. This is Paul.
You're adding the words of Paul into the words of
in the New
Jesus.
Testament. This is Peter.
Yeah,
in the
this
New
is all
Testament.
Paul. This is all Paul.
It's not just Paul.
Romans
It's not just
10:9.
Paul.
Yeah.
It's not just Paul. Plus, this is Christianity. I'm not sure why you keep saying we can't accept it because it's Paul.
Yeah,
Paul is Christianity.
You're using Romans 10:9 to interpret Matthew 5:17. Okay.
Paul is Christianity.
Yeah. Paul is not Christianity. That's the point. My point.
Okay, then you don't have a Christianity to judge. Then you don't have a Christianity to make any judgments.
Sorry. Let me rephrase that. I mean, Paul is Christianity, which does not represent Jesus. Okay.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Maurice Marshall says women couldn't vote in the US because the right to vote used to be tied to the military draft. Not all men could vote at that time either.
Yeah, we don't. So to counter that point, we never had in the Muslim world, we never had an issue about women voting. I've never come across any single country in the Muslim world, even today, where it is forbidden for women to vote. Okay, maybe with the exception of, I'm not sure whether Afghanistan prevents women from voting, but overall, I would say in the Muslim world today, in contemporary times, there was never a situation where the Muslim women were not allowed to vote.
Governor Fatass Dog says, if Islam is better for society, then why do a majority of Muslim countries allow awful things like child marriage, treating women like dogs, and normalizing bestiality? How's that a good society? My guess is you would at least disagree with some of the assumptions of the question.
I think some of the assumptions about bestiality, and what was it? Can you repeat it again, James? I missed out.
They said the things that they had said about these alleged things about Muslim countries were allow awful things like child marriage, treating women like dogs, and bestiality.
Treating women like dogs and bestiality, that's totally false. Okay, with regards to child marriage, I think I've already talked about this topic so many times over. Okay, so even until today, okay, there are societies which allow for marriages as young as 16. Okay, in certain countries. So what is the criterion for you to determine whether the person is a child or not? Okay, so even in the so-called modern world today, okay, there's no definition of what a legal age, a standardized legal age should be. There are some countries which say 16, there are some countries which say 18, there are some countries which say 21. So if let's say, if I marry someone who's aged 16 in a country which allows that, and then I bring my young wife, let's say this is just a hypothetical example, I bring this wife to another country which only allows marriage at the age of 21, does that make me a child abuser? You see, so the inconsistency is astounding when it comes to this kind of law. So my position is that well, as Muslims, we just obey the law of the land. The law of the land says that you're only allowed to marry at 21, yeah, so be it. If it says that you're only allowed to marry at 16, so be it. In contemporary times, we must obey the law as it stands now. That's it.
I mean, we have a very, very easy system by which we decide how child marriage is harmful for society. Since it's the topic of the debate, it's actually very, very good to talk about. It is scientifically established that women, or that girls reach an age of maturity where they are ready to have sexual interactions and get pregnant and bear children and all of that, where it will not impact their health including their physical health and their mental health. We have abundant studies which show that until a woman is completes her puberty, she is not ready for it because her body is not ready for it, and she is going to obtain damage from it, which is how we come to the conclusion that that we should allow for puberty to be finalized and then give some maybe grace period upon which we then establish a standard for the age of marriage. This is very basic. If you don't regard these laws, these standards as appropriate, you will have multiple societies where you will have intercourse with little children as if they were goats.
You got it. We'll jump to the next question. Thank you very much for this one. Apollos Christian Apologetics says, for MA, do women have more rights
Some maybe
in
grace
more
period.
Christian societies or more Islamic societies? At least Christian societies made the change, LOL. Tally it up.
I would say that there are more rights for women in Islam than there are in Christianity, and even that I use the word women in Christian societies loosely because, as I mentioned before, there's no such thing as a Christian society today in contemporary times. Okay, so when it comes to women rights in Islam, women are allowed to vote, women are allowed to voice their views, women are allowed to dress according to the Sharia, of course, however they want. And it's quite ironic that you should mention. I would like to point out a verse in the New Testament where Paul says a woman should not shout in the church. They are not allowed to voice out their voice, raise their voices in the church, and they should cover their head. And if they do not cover their head in the church, they should shorn. It is better for them to shorn their hair, because according to Paul, it's better for them that way rather than leaving the hair exposed, because a man belongs to the I've forgotten the exact quote. I think man belongs to God, but a woman belongs to the man. Okay, this is exactly what Paul says. Okay, and in Islam we don't have this. Okay, a woman is allowed to a woman can express herself however she wants in the mosque. There's no particular law which says that a woman should not raise her, should not go against raising their voice or whatever in a mosque. I've not seen such a law being enforced in the mosque.
Are you freaking kidding me? The worst thing that you can bring as a response about Christianity is that in Christianity, Paul says that a woman is not to be to teach or to be loud, and that she should that it is appropriate for her to cover her head, which, by the way, was never seen as a law. It was only seen as what is appropriate. This is from early
that's your
on,
interpretation of the law.
From early on, throughout the history of Christianity, that this was always seen as the better thing to do. It was never in history enforced upon women. It was never in history enforced upon women.
Tell that to the women in the medieval societies.
Show me one example of history where it was dominantly by churches instructed that it should be enforced upon women that if they don't cover themselves up, they cannot walk inside a church. It never happened. This is not a thing. It was always considered the moral thing to do, or the right thing to do, or the humble thing to do. Which, by the way, it also says that men should not cover their heads in church. Does this mean that men that men must take off their heads, or otherwise they will be punished? No, this is not what it's about. It is about moral law. It's not about legal law. And in comparison to that, we have Islam, which in Quran chapter 4, verse 34, explicitly says that if you fear arrogance, not if women do something wrong, if you fear arrogance from women, you are supposed to admonish them, then separate in beds, and if it doesn't help, then you can beat them. You can beat them. That's what the Quran says.
You're conflating what I said with the law for husband.
The Quran says that women have to be covered up, that they
Before
may
we go
not
too
go
far.
outside unless they absolutely have to.
It's totally going off tangent anyway.
You can beat the women and that they belong to you, and the men are in charge.
And what does that have to do with Islam being, or Christianity being best for society?
Nothing at all. Nothing unrelated.
I do want to give MA, because the original question was for you. To be fair, I want to give you a quick rebuttal against AP, and then you got to go to the next question, though. Okay?
Yeah, I was going to say that. What was I going to say? Yeah. The thought just escaped me again. But yeah, basically, what AP said just now about the verse in Surah Nisa, verse I don't remember the number of the verse.
You know,
wait.
it's funny. You talk about how women are supposed to be quiet in church.
Hold on.
In
To be
a mosque,
fair,
Why? Excuse me. Why? Why are you interrupting me?
can't even go. Women can't even go to the mosque with.
I want to give
Okay.
Menj
Okay. Why are you
or
They can't even.
Muslim
They can't even sit
apologist.
together. They
I
have
want
to
to
be
give
separate.
Muslim.
My wife goes to the mosque without me. Okay, without any issues. Okay. So
Okay,
yeah,
does she go together
you're
with
just
you?
lying.
Does she
No,
stand
she
together
does
with
not.
you? No, no.
No, she
So
does.
great,
No,
fantastic.
no. Yeah. So what does that have to do with Islam or Christianity, which is best for society?
You just brought it up.
Yeah, I was bringing it up in the context of society because Christianity does not give rights to women in a proper Christian society. Women are not given proper rights, whereas in Islam, women are given the rights. Okay,
Yeah.
that's my point. Okay, and then you suddenly went off tangent and you talked about the laws of marriage.
I can't ask the wife, but she wouldn't.
To address
the
I do, just to be sure we keep moving. At the same
Okay,
time,
yeah, go
MA,
ahead.
do you feel like you got to respond to everything that AP brought up?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. And also, thank you very much. We are at $170 for the fundraiser. So thanks for your generous donation. Ridvan Ademir. Am I saying it right?
Who's that? Yeah.
This
That's
one
right.
coming in from Maurice Marshall says Muslims to accuse Paul, you have to establish his motivation for leaving the religiously powerful Sadducees to join the persecuted. Can you explain this?
Oh, sure. I can explain it, but it's going to be. Can I share something from my screen if it's okay
Yes.
with you? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't answer it directly because I feel it's not related to the topic. But I just want to point out that can you see the screen? Yeah. So
Yes.
I wrote a book about Paul. Okay. So I've studied Paul. I've studied his history. Okay. And this book, inshallah, will be published very soon. So the title, of course, the book is in Malay, but I plan to get it translated into English eventually. But however, if you want to question about my studies about Paul, I don't think you have the local standing to do so because everything is here. I've studied Paul. I've studied his laws, his manners, and everything. So my answer is that Paul was a corrupter of the ethics of Jesus. Paul did not share the same understanding of Christianity as Jesus did. He introduced corruption into what we now know as Christianity.
Okay, can you answer the question?
Go ahead. Yeah.
You were asking, the question was a little bit wrong. He didn't leave he was a Pharisee, not a Sadducee. So he was a Pharisee, loved the law and all that, but he left the Pharisees and became part of the persecuted. So why did he do that, in your opinion, if he's just a corrupter?
Sorry, were you asking me a question?
That was the question that was asked.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to address the person's question. Yeah. So okay, could you repeat that? I'm sorry. Yeah, I kind of missed it. Yeah.
You're talking me or AP?
So the question, James, remind me. So the question was, why did Paul leave the Pharisees and become part of the persecuted if he was just a malicious corrupter, right? Okay. Yeah. That was the question.
Actually,
you didn't answer the question.
Well, it's actually addressed in my book. I don't know whether I should answer it because I don't want to divert from our topic. But in brief, the reasons are very dubious. Okay, to me, Paul was trying to prop himself up, and he had an agenda to destroy the religion of Jesus from within. Yeah, that would be a quick answer from me. But of course, the details, I could go into the details, but then it's going to take us away from the topic. Okay.
That makes no sense, but okay.
Yeah.
This one coming in from, do you appreciate your question? Gabriel Valencia says, question for Muslim apologist. You never addressed Acts 15 showing that those laws are no longer binding. How does Islam compare considering that it does promote violence?
I cited an example from a story from Acts, right? Where I don't remember the sorry if I'm a bit weak in these matters. I don't remember the exact chapter in Acts, but this is an incident in Acts where the apostles were upset at Paul for preaching things which were against what they believe should be followed in terms of the laws of Moses as preached by Jesus. So they summoned Paul to the council and they admonished Paul and they asked Paul why was it that Paul did not do this certain thing. So my point is that Paul definitely was diverting away from what the apostles of Jesus, the true apostles of Jesus, understood about the teachings of Jesus.
So you didn't listen to the question. You also didn't listen to it when I brought it up earlier. So here's in Acts 15, the discussion is about imposing the law, right? Like the law, the circumcision and the keeping of the law of Moses. That's what it says in Acts 15:5. So some of the believers who belonged to the party of the Pharisees stood up and said the Gentiles must be circumcised and required to keep the law of Moses. Later, then, just a few verses later, you have Peter getting up and objecting to this and saying, why would you try to test God by putting on the necks of Gentiles a yoke that neither we nor our ancestors have been able to bear? No, we believe it is through the grace of our Lord Jesus that we are saved, just as they are. So here is Peter, not Paul, directly rejecting the idea that the Gentiles must follow, that the Gentile Christians must follow the law of Moses.
Yeah, my point is that this story contradicts what the apostles did to Paul. Why did if the
It doesn't,
apostles did
because
not,
you don't understand the point of
if
it.
the apostles, let me finish. If the apostles had no problems with Paul changing the law, then why was it that they were disturbed by what Paul was preaching and they summoned him to meet them?
You don't understand the point of that
This in
discussion at
Acts.
all. You don't understand the
This in
conclusion of it,
Acts.
which is not that Paul is wrong. It's the conclusion there is
This
never
is
that
in
Paul
Acts.
is wrong.
We'll go to the next question. This one is from Isa Kabir. Thanks again, Isa, for your support. Says AP, what would the ideal Muslim society look like to you? And Menj, we'll get to the question for Menj, but first AP, what would the ideal Muslim society look like to you?
The ideal Muslim society would be a society. So, of course, ideal Muslim society sounds funny, but the society that follows Islam properly would be a society where it's probably something like Afghanistan, right? Something where Sharia is the law, where people are punished if they don't obey the law word for word. Where non-Muslims are treated as inferior subjects, as it was established by Muhammad and by his followers, where they have to follow the law and be obedient to Muslims as lower subjects and pay protection money in order to have their lives protected, or else they would be killed. Where Muslims decide what's happening and what's not happening, where there are blasphemy laws, apostasy laws, where men can take up to 4 wives, including children, where there is slavery and sex slavery and so on. This is basically Islamic law. That would be what is an Islamic society. So I could also actually sit here and argue that there is no proper Muslim society right now, except for certain places, such as in a mild way in Afghanistan. And then there was also, of course, ISIS that established a proper state, but it's gone now. So.
Menj, the question they had for you was, what would the ideal Christian society look like to you? And then Isa said, cheers to you, friends.
Thank you, Isa.
Thank you, Isa. So, what the ideal Christian society would be? The ideal Christian society would actually be as to what Jesus had taught, which is basically to follow the gospel, obey the laws of Moses, and to follow the law as closely as possible, as per the ethics of Jesus, because Jesus did reform some of the laws, and to behave in the proper manners as per what the Bible teaches. The laws, basically, this also means that the law of apostasy in Deuteronomy 13 should be enforced. So those who apostatize from Christianity, from the true teachings of Jesus, would be as per Deuteronomy 13, as well as the dietary laws. So Christians basically, or those who claim to follow the true teachings of Jesus, shouldn't be eating pork, okay? And they should also not be drinking wine too much. Also, they should not be following. Basically, they would also not be bowing down to the secularist system, which currently Christians are mostly following, and they would definitely not be following any of the secular laws that they are following today.
So, Muslim Apologist, can I inform you on one thing, which is Acts 15? So you have talked and you have used this for very, very long now. You are specifically talking about Acts of 15, when you talk about apostles admonishing or discussing with Paul and saying that the Christians have to follow the law. You completely are misled about this. I don't think you understand what you have read. I would urge you to read Acts 15 again. What happens in
Yeah.
Acts 15 is not Paul being bullied upon. It is that there are the Jewish believers and the Pharisees saying that the Gentile converts would have to follow the law, including circumcision, and following the law of Moses. It is then Peter, Luke, and Paul, and the others, and James, arguing and telling them that they don't have to follow the law of Moses, that the law of Moses does not apply to them, that it is a burden upon them, that this is not a covenant placed on them, that the new covenant through Jesus is salvation through grace by what Jesus came to fulfill, and that the conclusion here is that Christians are not bound by the law. This is the conclusion of the entire chapter. Acts 15. What you are arguing and what I counter-argued is all found in Acts 15. Read it. The conclusion is Gentiles are not bound by the law. You don't understand this.
Yeah, you're just
You
repeating
will-
the same thing, which I've already answered time and time again.
Yeah,
Okay,
read the book.
yeah.
Read the book.
We'll go to the
Yeah,
next
I
question.
have Bibles with me. Okay, you
haven't
don't
read
have to
it.
tell me.
You
You
obviously
don't have
haven't
to
read
tell
it.
me to read the Bible.
You clearly haven't read it.
Governor
I don't think you
Fat Ass
have either.
Dogs says, "How is Muhammad a good example for society if he married a child? When did Jesus ever do
Oh
that?"
no!
Imagine, it
Oh
sounds
no!
like
Not
you would
again!
disagree. You would
Oh
say
my
that he did
God!
not marry a child.
Yeah, I think James, this has been discussed to the death. Like, you know, I mean, in my previous appearances on MDD, I've already dealt with this issue of Aisha so many times over. I think this person is just trying to annoy me. I think he knows the Muslim answer to this, but he's just going to just trying to be annoying. But to counter that from a Christian perspective, I don't think Christians have the locus standi to be questioning. If you are a Christian, then you should be ashamed of yourself, because in medieval Europe during the height of Christianity, child marriages were common. Also, I would like to point out that according to the Bible, okay, Rebecca was 3 years old. The wife of Isaac was 3 years old.
Show me the
When she
verse
was
where
married to Isaac.
show me the verse where it says
Okay.
that.
This is not the place for it.
Show me the
Okay,
verse
please
where it
don't
says
divert
that.
the topic.
If
Not
if,
today,
if, if
sorry.
you think this is true, then give me the verse. It takes you 1 second to say it. Give me the verse where it says that.
I don't want to divert the topic. Sorry.
There is no verse. There is no verse. You're lying. There is no such verse. That's it.
Yeah, you can believe that if you wish, but basically the
because it's a
Bible
fact.
says
There is no such
basically the
verse.
Bible says that according to the Bible, according to the even to the Talmud itself, it says that Rebecca was 3 years old when she was married to
But
Isaac.
okay,
So
do I understand right? Would you bite the bullet and say that Muhammad married a minor, or would you say like, no, mom, like Aisha was actually like 18 or 16?
I would say that my answer has always been the same as before. Basically, Aisha was not a minor, and she has achieved puberty at
But
the
what
time,
age?
so it was valid to be married. Okay, at 9.
She was playing with dolls,
according to the records.
Oh,
So
did
what?
you
I
say
have those. I have action figures behind me. Does that mean that I'm
But
a child?
you're also a child, but she was playing with dolls with her friends. So.
No, that doesn't prove anything. Okay, come
wait,
on.
did you slip in the number? Did you say 9?
Yes, 9 years old. Yeah, according to the
Okay.
hadith. Yeah, I have a doll here. Okay, does that mean that I'm a child?
I don't want to
God, your logic
This
is
one.
really off the record.
Wait, but and then how did the whole were they just trolling you when they brought up the topic of forgive me for well, I'm not even going to go into it. YV27 says, "Hey James, AP, we love this debate. Why do many Muslim societies have statistics that are immensely underdeveloped and are totalitarian hellholes?" Thank you. Manj, I think this question is for you.
I think I've already.
It's a coincidence.
Yeah, I think I've already shown in my slides. There was one slide where I mentioned Pew Research saying that Muslim societies. Let me bring up there's widespread support for democracy, religious freedom, and that Muslim societies believe that that it is necessary to believe in God to be a moral person. A large majority of Muslims believe this, and Muslims clearly say that prostitution, homosexuality, suicide, sex outside marriage, drinking alcohol, abortion, and euthanasia, which is basically suicide through medicine, is wrong, are morally wrong. So I don't understand why all these values, why are these values something which is detrimental to Muslim society? In fact, I would say that this is a positive step towards accepting that Islam is the best choice for society, because in Christian societies, you don't have this.
Gabriel Valencia says, repeating a verse is not an argument. John 3:16. Thanks for your super chat. Let me know if you had a question you wanted to add. And folks, do want to encourage you, check out that GoFundMe. If you put in a donation with the GoFundMe, you can let me know what your question is, and we'll treat it as a super chat. The cool thing is, if you put it in through GoFundMe, YouTube doesn't take their whopping 41%. A lot of people don't know that. It used to be just 33%. In some streams, I've noticed that YouTube actually takes 41% of super chats, which is a huge chunk. So that link for the GoFundMe for these lenses that we want to buy instead of rent is just financially smarter for modern day debate. And we will be using those for this upcoming debate between Andrew Wilson and, you guessed it, none other than Apostate Prophet, as you see on your screen. That debate is coming up on April 28th. By the way, if you're at the University of North Carolina, Asheville, or anywhere near, check out that debate promo poster that you can see on screen right now. This is going to be a mammoth debate. It's whether or not should Christians support Zionism. You don't want to miss it. And again, for that debate, as well as you could say for all of our DebateCon events, we are doing this fundraiser where we are trying to buy lenses. We have little time left, so your donations really do mean more than you know, as it's just financially smarter for us to buy rather than rent. These are the same lenses that you saw at Modern Day Debate, DebateCon last February, so that's just a couple months ago, where you saw AP, Debate, Gnostic, Informant, and we also are very excited to say this. We are at $170. So that fundraiser, we appreciate your guys' support. It means more than you know. And we'll jump right back into the old questions here for the Q&A. Thanks for your patience, folks, and thanks for your support. That link is pinned at the top of the live chat and in the top of the description box. Even Lord says, Muslim apologists, thank you for fighting against polytheism in a region of the world where polytheism is entrenched and powerful.
Is that a question or a statement? I don't really get it.
It was a thank you.
I think he was trying to be sarcastic, but yeah, I mean,
okay.
yeah, I think he was trying to imply about the existence of Buddhism and Hinduism in Malaysia, and yeah, there's some political relationship to that with the political situation here, but anyways, Islam has always been the dominant religion in this region, and in fact, in the Malaysian constitution, Islam is stated as the religion of the federation. So polytheism has never dominated this region ever since Islam came to the scene. Yeah.
Ted East says Iraq legalized marriage for 9-year-olds influenced by Muhammad. Is this true?
It is very, very much true. Iraq has implemented new laws that lower the age of consent, the age of marriage, based on the religious requirements or the religious interpretations of the caretakers and their religious leaders, by which the religious leaders can now decide that a 9-year-old is ready to get married and to consummate the marriage and so on, which is inspired by Islam and approved by Islamic scholars there. So
yeah, quite ironic for you to say that when your Bible actually supports child marriages.
It doesn't. You still can't show me where it does, but yeah.
This one from JAM says, if Islam benefits society, Muslim apologist, then why do Muslim nations rank low on global indices or indexes? The top, Malaysia, ranks 53rd and includes a large non-Muslim population. And by global indexes, I don't know if they mean like happiness or charitable acts.
I think the question is quite vague. So I think it's being I think the questioner is thinking in terms of, again, in secular terms, in terms. I mean, how do you measure development? How do you measure advancement in a society? Do you measure it by scientific advancement, or by the number of skyscrapers that they have, or by the number of cars or population that the country has? I mean, in terms of, I can't really speak for other countries in the Muslim world, but I can speak for Malaysia. I would say that Malaysia is doing pretty well in terms of economy and in terms of progress. In fact, we have this, if you want to brag about advancements, I would say we have the tallest twin towers in the world, and we have the second tallest skyscraper in the world. So if you want to brag about I mean, and this is not my point. My point is that how does one judge advancement or scientific? I mean, it depends on how society views it. I mean, if a particular country feels that they have progressed by living in mud huts and just eating fish all day, and to them that's a great progress, well, that's their choice, right? So you can't judge. Actually, as an outsider, you can't judge them. Yeah,
it's actually very easy to measure it.
So,
the Human Development Index, for example, HDI, measures the human development based on 3 standards, which are education levels, health, including accessibility to health, and
I think Malaysia ticks all the marks.
Quality of life, where Western nations and post-Christian nations are always ranked the best. The West is at the top. The Muslim world is not. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's very subjective, and in Malaysia, I'm very happy in Malaysia, and I have no intention whatsoever to move to the West. So yeah,
I can probably find people who are happy in the Congo. That doesn't really make much of a difference.
This one coming from
comparing
Daniel.
Malaysia to the Congo, yeah, sure, yeah.
Daniel indeed took Topo. Sorry, I'm trying my best. If Sharia is a good thing, why is it that no one wants to live in those countries, but go live in Western Christian nations, leaving behind Sharia countries? Muslim Apologist, is this true? Is there a great migration?
I think it has been exaggerated, especially by Christian apologists and polemicists. Okay, there's no great migration. I mean, the issue
look at the numbers in Europe.
Can you please let me
clear? I do want just to be sure.
Dude, can you let me answer, please? Okay. So don't cut me off, please. Okay, I didn't cut you off, so please.
No, it's very rude to cut each other off. I shouldn't be doing that.
You did a little bit, but nonetheless, I agree with you that we want to give AP, or we want to give you, MA, a chance to respond to the actual question. Go ahead, MA.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think the issue of migration actually depends on many factors, not just about whether the other country is much more developed than the other one. So, issues such as career advancements or economic opportunities or education. So, of course, there will be migration from one country to another. I mean, people in the Muslims are migrating to the West, but Christians are also migrating to the East as well. So it happens, okay, be it through business reasons, or education. So it's quite unfair, or it's quite biased to say that, oh, Muslims are moving to the West because the Christian West is better and it's much more developed, which is not necessarily true. Okay, so I don't see a large number of Malaysians, for example, or Indonesians moving to the West in droves. Okay, so there's no evidence of this. So it's just a claim that, and it's the arrogance of the West to claim that, to say that they are better than Asia or better than the East, because Asia is a fast-growing continent, and there are many countries which are now going advanced, and even China right now is even much more developed than the US. So shouldn't Muslims be moving to China instead of going to the US? You see, so
the problem is that
so the question is actually quite presumptuous in in claiming that the West is better than the East. Yeah.
The problem is that people prefer to move to places where they have better rights and where they are treated better and where they see that life is better. We have it's very obviously evidence. It is irrefutable that the Western world is far ahead when it comes to quality of life and life satisfaction, happiness of life, and so on. Human Development Index, everything is at the top in the Western world. So when you look at what countries these people are coming from, you will find that very often Muslim countries are very dominant among countries that people come from to the West. When you ask Muslim countries where they want to move to, you will find that many of them will say that they want to move to the West. You will find that, for example, Canada or Germany or UK or USA are usually the most popular options in Muslim countries of where people want to move to.
According to whom?
You look at polls. You look at certain statistics where you see
give me the evidence.
that countries like Pakistan are highest ranking in terms of people who are emigrating, who are leaving the country to move to the West, for example. I think Pakistan is at the top, the #1 country where people are emigrating from to move to a different place. People obviously don't like to live in Muslim countries, and let's not fool ourselves. Look at Europe; it's full of Muslims. You don't see the Middle East, Muslim countries full of Western people.
I want to give MA the last word on this. The only reason is I just don't want him to feel like he's being ganged up on, because he's both got the super chatter, challenging him with a point, and then he's got you rebutting his answer. And so I do want to give him the last word. That way it's roughly fair. MA, do you have any last thoughts based on what AP said there? And then we're going to go to the next question.
Yeah, AP is saying things which has no evidence whatsoever. There's no
Do you want me to show you evidence?
Hold on, I gotta give MA a chance.
You haven't let me finish my answer first. Okay, so you haven't shown any actual evidence. So these are all claims that many Christians and Islamophobes especially use to say that, oh, the West is better than the East Asia, basically. But I mean, me on a personal level, I'm not planning to move to the West. Why should I move to the West? I'm very much happy being in Malaysia. Okay, and if someone were to actually do their research and just look up some videos on YouTube, there are actually videos of those Westerners, those from the UK and from the US, who are telling their audience to move to the Muslim world, to UAE, to Malaysia, to Turkey. So I think this goes both ways. And to rebut the point about the high number of Muslim immigrants coming from the Muslim world to Europe, especially, well, you need to look at the countries. You'll find that most of these Muslims are from war-torn countries like Syria and Iraq, and the countries which were torn apart by Yemen. These countries which are torn apart by war. Okay, even Pakistan, which is quite politically unstable. Okay, so these are a limited number of countries. Do you see other countries such as from Malaysia, for example, or from Indonesia, from Brunei, countries which are rich, from Saudi Arabia or from Qatar, which are moving in droves, by the way, since you say that there's a high number of Muslims moving to Europe. You don't see that. Okay, so there are, of course, some sorry, let me finish the last sentence. So there is definitely a high number of Muslims moving from war-torn Muslim countries to Europe, but you don't see that happening in countries which are stable politically and are rich economically. Okay.
Can I just say one thing very, very quickly?
I want to give Emmy the last word. So if it's like really pithy, and then Emmy gets last word.
Like 5 seconds. So Visual Capitalist has a list showing the top countries, in fact all countries, based on migration, and it shows in thousands. Number 1 is Pakistan, minus 1,066 1,620. So 1.62 million people emigrating from Pakistan. Number 2 Sudan. Number 3 India, China, Bangladesh, Nepal, Turkey, Ukraine, Brazil. So Muslim countries are very, very much dominant among those where people want to leave.
India is not a Muslim country, and these countries are all unstable.
Fantastic. So let's look at India and Nepal and say, well, they are not Muslims.
Let's give MA the last word, and then we got to go to the next question.
Yeah, so these countries that he mentioned, these are all politically unstable countries. So,
And who made
We'll
them
move to the
unstable?
next
Who made
one.
Pakistan
This one
unstable?
coming in from,
you just
I hate
made
to
my
do it,
point.
gentlemen, but just
Thank
because
you.
we've spent so much time on this question. This one, and by the way, thank you very much for your support. Brian Carnes and Inball Cats, thank you for your support and the GoFundMe. That is linked at the top of the description, folks. Highly encourage you. Let me refresh the page here. We do appreciate your support. Like I said, this is basically the same lenses we used at DebateCon 5 just a couple months ago. We want to use these for every conference. So same lenses, but we have to buy them. It's just so much smarter financially. We're like, hey, we know we want to use these. And let me tell you a little quick personal story, because you guys might be thinking, like, how do you know that you're going to use the lenses enough to where it would pay for, compared to what you would rent them for? Is that I am very excited to share this. Is that this summer, so right now I'm teaching a class as an adjunct professor, and this is the first summer coming up that I'm going to politely, if I get the invitation to teach again, which is likely, I'm going to say, hey, I love you guys, but I'm actually going to go kind of full time with modern day debate. No more teaching. We're all in on this. We're going all in. So these camera lenses, which that GoFundMe is linked at the top of the live chat and the description box, we are going to be using these at DebateCon. We're also going to be using these, for example, at this upcoming debate between Andrew Wilson and AP. This is going to be huge. Uncensored America is a collaborative partner where we're going to basically, I'm going to be flown out to moderate this debate. And then we're going to do other epic events. Like, for example, the Outnumbered series, which is basically like Jubilee. If you've seen Jubilee's Surrounded series, Modern Day Debate is launching, along with Uncensored America, our own Outnumbered series, where it's basically similar to Jubilee's Surrounded, but our own style. We'll use the cameras for that. It's going to be a very wise investment. So we do appreciate your support if you can. Many hands make light work. We appreciate your guys' support of that. And this question coming in from Gabriel Valencia says, Muslim apologist Muslims have their wives talk through a whiteboard, and you're complaining of head coverings. Really? I don't know what the
So
whiteboard
I
is.
I
Oh, do
have
they
no
mean
idea
like
what he's talking.
if a woman wants to
I
communicate, they have to write
I
it?
know my wife definitely does not communicate with me through a whiteboard, so I don't know what the hell this guy is talking about.
That's a reference to Muslim apologist and YouTuber Ali Dawa, who has over 1 million subscribers, who actually made a video with his wife where you can only see the back of his wife half, and she just communicates through a whiteboard.
Yeah,
instead of talking.
maybe that is his choice. So, but that's not across the board.
His
Okay?
choice.
That's not across the board. So
No,
pun
it's probably
intended.
his choice. Yeah, not hers.
Yeah.
This one coming in from, do appreciate your question as well. Sammy says, why in 2025 is it that 75% of MI5 counterterrorism caseload cases are linked to Islamic terrorism? So MI5,
Yeah.
do I remember right? This is like for England, the equivalent
yeah.
of like their
Yeah.
CIA, their organization that's devoted to stopping
Yeah.
terrorism. They had said, why in 2025 is 75% of MI5 counterterrorism cases linked to Islamic terrorism?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where he got his statistics from. Okay, so he needs to cite a source. But regardless whether it's true or not, well, it's not the practice of Islam to encourage terrorism. Islam does not teach Muslims to commit terrorism. It is against terrorism. Okay.
That sounds nice.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it. ALC says, does Surah 65 verse 4 prescribe the marrying of prepubescent children? And if you divorce them, you have to wait 3 months to make sure they aren't pregnant.
Okay, I know about this verse. Yeah, so this verse is about women who has not menstruated. Okay, women who have their periods delayed. So what is the ruling for them? So it's 3 months. Okay, it's not about prepubescent girls not achieving their periods, because in Islam, a prepubescent girl is forbidden from marrying a man. Okay, yeah.
Source.
You can read Al-Muwatta Ibn Malik for that. Okay.
There is no source on that. The traditional understanding is that
I just cited to you a source, okay?
The traditional understanding is that at any point a woman is deemed, a girl is deemed ready if her parents or a religious authorities considers them ready for sexual interaction.
Yeah, this
and
This
if
one
they
coming
can make
in.
sure that she will not be permanently damaged,
that's just a lie. Okay.
it's the truth.
No, it's
This
a lie.
one from
Totally.
Christian Theologetics. Is Muslim Apologist's book self-published?
Yes, it will be published with a publisher, and yeah, I've already a deal with the publisher, and inshallah, God willing, it will be
The
published
second
by July. Yeah.
The second, Shaitan says, "Hey there, long time no see. What did I miss? Thanks for coming
Hello.
by. Well, you missed a
Hello.
tremendous debate. If you're just tuning in now, Oliver Catwell, thanks for your support. Says, regardless of religion, creed, or country, let us be good to one another, to one and another. There is enough strife. Let's discuss disagreements with kindness." 100% agree. And I know that sometimes it's like, I think we're on the same page, or I should say Oliver Catwell and I are on the same page that modern day debate is a little bit like rough and tumble sometimes, but broadly speaking, it is generally peaceful. And, for example, it
Mostly
might
peaceful.
seem heated at times today, but we have not seen, I've seen, nasty, it does happen once in a while where one time a debater called another debater's wife ugly. So sometimes it does get nasty. And so we are glad that that has not happened in this debate. The second, Shaitan says, question to Muslim apologist. Can you agree that most of us Muslims do not want Sharia law? Also, no killing of ex-Muslims. In other words, I think they're saying,
I
can you agree that most Muslims don't want Sharia or the killing of ex-Muslims?
I disagree with it, because according to Pew Research, which I've already cited in my slide, I don't know why this person did not see my slide. It clearly says that Muslims are for Sharia in a large majority, okay, across the Muslim world.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank
So
you. It's very
This
funny
one
because you just earlier said that Muslims are for democracy, but now you're admitting that according to Pew Research, most Muslims are for Sharia.
why is democracy against Sharia? Democracy is part of Sharia.
So if they want to vote for a leftist government,
know.
for example, or a government that is specifically secular and non-Muslim, do you think they would support that, or do you think?
I just said
they
that
would reject it
Muslims
and
are
be for
for
Sharia?
democracy based on Sharia. Okay, so they
There's-
want Sharia and they want democracy.
Democracy is not an Islamic system. It doesn't combine.
There's no such thing as a particular Islamic system. I mean, monarchy, whether it's monarchy, whether it's authoritarian, whether it's democracy, there's no particular fiqh on it. Okay, it can be any type of government.
Sharia follows the written law. It doesn't allow for individuals.
There's also something called fiqh. Okay, there's also something called fiqh, which I think you kind of
yes, and that invalidates human free will in terms of deciding what should and should not be done, because it has to stay within a frame of laws set by Islamic scholars.
Of course, because we follow God's law and you don't.
So therefore, you are not for democracy.
You claim to be a Christian, but you don't follow God's laws, and Muslims who want to follow God's laws, you want to oppose that. Okay, congratulations.
Well, the thing is, Christianity provides for a society where people are treated like humans, whereas Islam provides for a society where they are treated.
Are you
like
sure you are a Christian?
Because
I feel it, I'm seeing the atheist vibe coming from you again, because you claim to be a Christian. Okay, so but
I'm currently
you're repeating tropes which are clearly atheistic in nature. Okay?
I'll give AP a chance to respond, and then we got to go to the next question.
And we already had this. Christianity does not provide for written strict laws. It provides for a society where people are treated like humans who follow a moral code.
Which I already touched on.
Whereas Islam makes a society where people are treated like mindless beings.
This one,
sure.
Coming in from Ted East, says, question for Muslim apologist. Do you agree with female circumcision?
You see, this topic is a bit complicated, because in the madhab that is in the majority in Malaysia, which is Shafi'i, which is the Shafi'i fiqh, Muslims are encouraged to nick the hood of the clitoris of the female. So, but of course, generally speaking, when you say FGM, it does not mean to mutilate the clitoris and not to cut off it totally, not to that extent. And Islam does not allow for FGM. There are fatwas even by Al-Azhar which says that FGM is forbidden.
So you are for female circumcision?
I would say that no, I'm not for female circumcision.
You
okay?
just said that you are. Didn't you just say that it is?
I said that is the practice of the Mazhab Shafi'i in Malaysia. I don't ascribe fully to Mazhab Shafi'i.
But do you have a problem with it? Are you opposed to it? Do you condemn it, or do you think it's okay?
I have a neutral view and I don't have an opinion on it.
Okay, so you're not against it. Okay, wonderful, good to know.
You got it. This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Connor says, Muslim apologist. Earlier, you justified the Islamic child marriage by saying the Bible claims Rebecca was 3. Can you provide the chapter and verse for this claim in the Bible that Rebecca
there
was
you go.
3?
There you go.
Okay, right.
What does it say there? Which verse is it?
Instead of me going into detail, I would suggest that you go to my channel. I actually discussed this in detail. There are at least 3 videos where I talked about it in detail, where I clearly showed evidence that Rebecca was 3 years old when she was married.
I think they want it now, though, like in the debate.
Okay, where's the Bible verse which says that Rebecca was 3 years old?
I mean, I think it's going to be too long if I were to show that, because it came from.
Just show us the Bible verse. Just show us the Bible verse that says Rebecca was 3 years old.
It's not derived. It's derived from the Bible verse, but not explicitly. Okay.
So you just said that the Bible. You said in the debate with me that the Bible says that Rebecca is 3 years old.
Based on the calculations from the Bible as per the rabbi's calculations.
So let's get it clear. So let's make it clear then. The Bible does not itself say that Rebecca was 3 years old.
No, it does say that.
Thank you. It doesn't. You say it does say it.
Yeah, it does say it.
Well, okay, where does it say it then?
I already told you. I said that it comes from calculations of the rabbis.
So the Bible itself does not say it. It's others who say it.
Maurice Marshall
it's derived from the Bible. My God.
So the Bible does not say it.
The Bible does say it. That is why it's derived from the Bible.
Then where does it say it?
I think they're asking for like the verse.
Or does the Bible say it?
Oh my God.
Is it derived from the Bible or does the Bible say it?
Please, I don't know this. You can just watch the videos that.
Okay, so the Bible does not say it. We have closed the case. Thank
you. No, we have not done of the sort. Okay.
Maurice Marshall says, "M.A. quote. I think they're saying that you said this. Do not initiate the salam to the, or they're saying that this is what the Quran says. Do not initiate the salam to the Jews and Christians. And if you meet any of them in a road, force them to its narrowest alley." And they say, please explain how this is good for society, Muslim apologist.
I think this hadith, if I'm not mistaken, this hadith is on a specific context. So yeah, so it's not across the board. Okay, and Muslims are taught to appreciate their neighbors. In fact, in the Quran, Jews and Christians are regarded as people of the book, and they are well respected. They are allowed to practice their own laws. Like, for example, during the Khilafah period, Jews and Christians were allowed to have their own systems, their own courts. Okay, so there's no such mistake. There's no Holocaust in the Muslim world. Jews were allowed to practice their religion freely. Okay, unlike the Christian world, where Germany which was dominated by Catholics, initiated a Holocaust which killed 6 million Jews.
The Nazis were not Christians. The Hitler was explicitly anti-Christian.
Keep deluding yourself into that, because I have photos of I have seen photos of Hitler.
I have seen photos. I have the books here, man. Yeah. Hitler and his inner circle were explicitly anti-Christian. Yeah. They were explicitly anti-Christian. They killed Christians as well.
You say
you didn't have massacres. Yeah. Islamic history is full of massacres, of pogroms against Jews.
Hitler was a practicing Catholic. Okay.
No, he was not. Yes, that's a lie. And if you insist that, which
disagrees
with every single historian, every single historian will refute that, then you have no status to argue. I just said every single historian. Look it up. Hitler was anti-Christianity.
Give me the names of the historians.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is Chris.
I won't even give you a historian. I will just give you directly this. Here, do you see this? The Goebbels diaries. Wait, let's get it sharp here. Goebbels diaries.
That's not a historian.
These are the writings of Goebbels himself.
Yeah,
sure. Here,
you said historians. Why are you citing Goebbels?
I'm going directly to the source, where Goebbels directly, who is Hitler's most trusted man, says that Hitler hates Christianity. Hitler hates Christianity, and Hitler wants to get rid of it, but he for now wants to keep it, but he despises it and he sees it as a cancer. This is what it says.
This one coming in from Chris at Speaker's Corner says, quote, to Muslim apologist, hi Menj, big fan here. Question, what does Islam have to say about impious hypocrites who debate their religion while hosting pornography? Love you lots and lots, Chris X.
I think he's frozen.
What do you mean about hosting prawn or corn, the food? Did you used to produce like adult films or something, MA?
I think he dropped. He's frozen. He's dead.
He'll be back. We, in the meantime, will jump to this. This question's, well, while we wait for him to rejoin the call, I will read this question from Catherine for me. Says, James, you're being so fair and kind today. I don't know if I go that far. They say, but thank you. Why'd you do the Pakistani lady so dirty last time by airing all the insults? I think that was the debate between I can't remember the names, but it was our last debate, and some of the super chats probably were barbed, and I read them because here's the thing. Folks are like, "Hey, we want like organic debates. Like we want them to be authentic." And it's like, "I agree, but that means we got to take the bad with the good." So sometimes it's like it is pretty tumultuous. Maybe even a better word would be bellicose or pugilistic, where people are fighting and they're cantankerous, and and to be fair, we still read those within reason if it's not violating YouTube terms of service, because we are like, hey, well, we're going to keep it authentic here. And she's a tough lady. She can take it. She's not a punk. So the same way that it's like um I've read way worse to some of the dudes that have been on Modern Day Debate. And Catherine M says, hi, AP.
Hello.
And while we wait for Muslim Apologist to re enter the chat, I'm going to keep an eye out for when he does re enter. But I do want to say, folks, we're excited as, like I said, this GoFundMe fundraiser is happening right now. It's just much more financially clever for Modern Day Debate to buy these camera lenses rather than rent them. We use them 5 times, just 5 times, which is so easy because we're probably going to use them like 7 times this year. So this year we will financially come out ahead by buying them rather than renting them. It's amazing. So I've got to tell you that GoFundMe link is linked at the top of the live chat, and it's also linked at the top of the description box. We're already at 295, so that's about 10%. It's 8% of the way there for this goal. And we have a sense of urgency as we are planning on using these camera lenses as soon as this upcoming debate with, you guessed it, Andrew Wilson and AP. That's going to be happening on Monday, April 28th. If I remember right, I think it's a Monday. That's going to be at University of North Carolina, Asheville. And I'm going to put the link for the tickets. If you are nearby North Carolina, Asheville University, you have to come out to this. I'm going to be there personally to moderate it. And Uncensored America is kind of like a collaborative partner, like a sister organization with Modern Day Debate. And they have been very kind to us by saying, like, hey, you want to come out and moderate our debates? And we're like, yeah, that we'd love to do that. So those lenses will be used as early as that debate featuring Apostate Prophet. So we do
I'll
appreciate
be
your
there too,
support.
by the way. I will try to be there as well.
It's a possibility. He may be there for the debate as well. And I've got to tell you, we are excited about that debate. It is going to be a big one. Let me check if AP has come, or there he is. Okay. Alfie has re-entered the chat. So I might have to do a little screen adjustment here. But yeah, we are excited about the future. I'm a major believer in the idea that it's not about the resources you have, it's about how resourceful you are. And so, you guys, we think that this is a very clever move. It's very resourceful. We're like, hey, we know we're going to use these lenses over and over, but we're going to buy them. And we are all in the sense that, like I said earlier in the stream, I don't know if you guys heard that now, Modern Day Debate, I'm going full time with it in the sense that I'm going to actually say, nope, I'm not going to be an adjunct professor in the future. At least we'll see. I mean, if let's say, for example, Modern Day Debate got yeeted, if it got deleted by YouTube, then I'm gonna have to go crawling back to be a professor. But we're going for it. So, Menj, you're back. Okay, let me just flip.
James was talking trash about you. Mensch.
Yes.
That's right.
I don't think he did.
Now,
Yeah, I think he's a
Menj,
very nice guy. So yeah, yeah.
were you a part of some sort of adult film? Were you like an adult film actor? Is that what was going on?
I
Why do they
think
say you host corn?
I have no idea because I've never done that in my entire life. Okay, it's kind of stupid, really. I don't understand what's going on. Yeah, I mean, people will always make up stories about me, anyways. So I'm not too surprised about it. Yeah,
Okay. This one coming in from Catherine. Thanks for your question. Even Lord says, was Jesus a stonemason or a carpenter?
carpenter, according to the
Everybody in
Bible,
agreement on that?
yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah.
Pretty
Well, that's
straightforward. Okay.
according to the New Testament. Yeah.
This one from ALC says, AP, do you agree that one of the main issues with Islam is the
Yes.
severe indoctrination from birth? This stunts a person's ability to think rationally. AP, and we'll give you a chance to respond, MA, because I know that they're throwing you under the bus in a way implicitly. AP
I'm
first,
okay.
then MA.
Yeah, I would say I've always said that that is a very big and very bad aspect of Islam, which teaches fear and complete obedience without questioning. And the Quran says that those who truly believe are those who hear and say, I hear and I obey, and so on. So this is it is a big problem. It also has very visual and very graphic descriptions of how those who disbelieve will be punished brutally in the afterlife forever, and so on. It's pretty messed up, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
Do
this
you
is coming
agree?
from a
What?
Christian. This is coming from a self-confessed Christian, but self-professed Christian, but he's using atheistic tropes. Okay, so to answer the issue on Islam and free expression of thought, basically there are so many works that I've read and discovered that talks about this issue, and this is one of them. Okay, I just want to show this to the camera. So this is one of them, Islamic Thought and Culture, which discusses Islamic thought and how Islam encourages free expression of thought. So all the things that the Christian, the self-professed Christian is saying is rubbish, and he's just repeating all the Islamophobic lies that has been circulating on the internet all this while. Yeah.
Strong words. All right, this one coming in from, do appreciate your question as well. Thank you. The second, Shaitan says, women need their own space. Why oppose that, Muslim apologist?
Have I ever expressed any opposition to women having their own space? I don't think I did. Yeah.
You got it. And thank you to Anonymous, who just donated $10 to the crowd fund. We appreciate that. Thank you so much for your support. Rhett 305, thanks for that. It's a great start for this campaign, as we are going to buy those lenses and we're going to use them constantly. And Modern Day Debate is going to put out the best. You guys, I got to tell you, you wouldn't even believe me. It's so like the big stuff that we're going to do in the next year is going to be so big, and people are going to be like, holy, like, whoa, what happened? Modern Day Debate is making these huge moves. Believe me,
The hell?
there's so much. It's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what you've seen. DebateCon 5 was epic, but there are so many major things coming up. This one from the second, actually, Cohen Igseg says, MA, do you know something about leather straps? Is this like some sort of fashion thing? This has come up
I have no
before.
idea what he's asking about. Why leather straps specifically? I have no idea. I've never used
Okay.
leather straps myself. So
No, it's probably about a hadith where, so according to the hadith, Muhammad says the eyes are the leather straps of the anus. Yeah.
Oh, that hadith. Okay, so that hadith, Albani says that it's sahih, but there are many scholars which say that is weak. Yeah,
This one from
that's it.
the
What's the
second
problem?
the second Shaitan says, MA, want to buy or get my sub Quran for free? Personal message me. What does this mean? Ida Rogozin says AP is based and red pilled.
Ida
Wow.
is based. Ida is based. I love Ida.
This one from Even Lord says, AP, you are a true Romi. Romi. I've never seen this before. They say enlightened Turkmen. Oh, are you Turkish?
Me?
Yeah.
That's a big allegation.
Wow. I didn't know that.
I'm of Turkish origin. Yeah, of Turkish origin,
That's cool.
but not very Turkish.
I love the Turks. And Rowena says for MA, if Jesus is called Messiah in Islam but is not king, savior, or divine, then why him? Why not Muhammad? What sets him apart to earn a title with no role?
Yeah, you're asking a theological question here. In Islam, we believe that Jesus was the Messiah because he brought the gospel, and he also taught his people. And this is also mentioned in the New Testament, to repent and to prophesy the coming of a messenger called Ahmad. So we believe that these are the attributes, and these are the purpose of the Messiah coming or being sent to the children of Israel. And we also believe the same thing as Christians do, that Jesus will come on his second. He ascended to the heavens, and he will come on his second coming, and he would rule the land justly. He would break the cross, kill the pigs, enforce jizya, as well as rule with the Sharia, the law of Islam, for 40 years before and of course during this period he will get married and he will have children, but then he will pass away, and he will be buried next to the grave of the Prophet Muhammad SAW, which is currently in Medina. This is what we believe. So these are all things which the Messiah would do.
Where does Jesus talk about a prophet named Ahmed who is going to come? Where in the Gospels?
I thought we were discussing about Islam and Christianity.
I know, but you make claims here, and then I want to ask you about that. So can I ask that?
Sure, but I think we should do that for another debate if you're open.
But can you just briefly tell me where Jesus mentions Ahmed or Muhammad in the
Sure,
in the Bible?
John 14 will be a good example of that.
What does he say about? What does he say there? Can you tell me?
You said briefly, so I just tell you John 14. Okay, please don't drag this any further.
John 14 is a big chapter. What does he say?
I don't remember the exact verse. Sorry. Yeah.
He talks about the Holy Spirit. How he will go to send the Holy Spirit. That's what he talks about.
Yeah, the Paraclete. Yeah.
Where does he talk about?
Yeah, you're dragging. Yeah, you're dragging. Like I said, I want to keep it brief, please.
It talks about the Holy Spirit, so I'm not sure why you bring up John 14.
It's not the Holy Spirit.
It explicitly says it's the Holy Spirit. What are you talking?
Like I said that this is something we should have another.
It right there in the chapter says the Holy Spirit.
It said the Spirit of Truth. It doesn't say the Holy Spirit. That's your interpretation.
It says the Holy Spirit.
Spirit of Truth.
It says Holy
This
Spirit.
might be a good time to wrap up. I want to say thank you so much for our debaters. They are the lifeblood of the channel. You guys, they are linked in the description box. If you enjoyed this debate, a couple of things. One, hit that like button. We do appreciate your support that way. Seriously, if you thought your side was more persuasive in this debate, hit like, because it will actually push out this video to more people on YouTube. There's a great reason to hit like. It's not for me. It's actually if you think your side was more persuasive, although it does help me too. We appreciate your support. And not only that, but you can find Apostate Prophet and Muslim Apologist linked in the description box. We appreciate them taking their time out. These guys are really busy guys, and it's also like 4 a.m. for Menj, aka Muslim Apologist. So these guys, we really do appreciate them being here. And then stick around, because I'll be talking about post-credits stuff like upcoming debates. For example, the link to the upcoming Uncensored America debate, where AP will be debating Andrew Wilson on whether or not Christians should support Zionism, is linked in the description box already. So if you're anywhere near the University of North Carolina, Asheville, folks, come out. I'm going to be there. AP is going to be there. It is going to be an amazing debate. Andrew Wilson will be there. I'm sure others will be there. You really have to come out. It's going to be awesome. It's a free ticket option as well. They've got funding from the university, so they can actually do a free ticket option. So, I mean, folks, how much better does it get? So this one coming in from Even Lord says, can each debater steelman their opponent? If you guys want to take a few seconds to do that.
Yeah, so the steelman, I'm not sure how much I can steelman it, but Christianity is actually a different legalistic religion, but Christians don't follow it properly, and the version that they follow is not good for society because it doesn't have proper laws, whereas Islam has great laws and is good for society, although we like to force everyone to follow those laws. That's basically his position.
MA, how would you steelman this AP fellow in, let's say, 2 or 3 sentences as well?
Yeah, so basically he just repeats the usual diatribes that he did as an atheist, and now he's a Christian. But he's just repeating the same myths that Islam is violent, Islam promotes terrorism, Islam is against the women's rights. Islam is this, Islam is that, but he does not even deal with a single statement from my slides where I prepared the framework for determining which is best for society, Islam or Christianity.
I just want to clarify, steel manning means that you present the position of the other side in the best way that you understand it, as defensible as possible, and show that you accurately understand the other side's position. So you just didn't do that. You just presented a caricature of my position.
I
It doesn't
will say,
matter,
even
Go
go.
ahead. No,
Even
it's okay.
Lord said, "Can each debater give their best argument again?" I do want to say, even Lord, I'm sorry, we're going to make a new rule about super chats where you can't ask for somebody to repeat something. I hate to do that. I know I'm being rigid, but it's just that they've said it so much. Cohen's Seg says, "Can Muslim expert explain Sahih al-Bukhari 230?"
He needs to quote the exact hadith because I don't memorize hadiths. Yeah, if he's just giving numbers,
Oh, I can tell you
I can
if
help.
you want me to.
Yeah.
So Sahih Bukhari 230 says, I asked Aisha about the clothes soiled with semen. She replied, I used to wash it off the clothes of Allah's messenger, and he would go for the prayer while water spots were still visible.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it was a husband and wife thing. So what's the problem?
I'm just reading it.
This one, or I should say, that is it for our questions. We do want to say, folks, thank you so for your support. We've already gone up by 25 likes. Thanks for your support there. Also, sharing this content makes a big difference. If you want to share it with a friend who you know enjoys these topics, like, hey, this is a great way to click that share button, send the link over text or Facebook or WhatsApp. John Bundock says, Modern Day Debate AP, lately you've encountered a lot of Orthodox origin anti-Semitism. In your critiques of Islam, do you encounter folks like Ratko Miadik / Milosevic, apologists, and how do you respond?
No, I haven't encountered any such peeps. I don't know. Very, very off topic, but no, I haven't. I don't know.
New for me as well. But yeah, I want to say thank you guys for your support. Thanks, folks. We do appreciate it. And we are going to, we'll do that post. You guys, you have to stick around for this. I've got really big updates, including that debate I mentioned that'll be in North Carolina, Asheville, with Apostate Prophet and Andrew Wilson, among others. There's some big stuff coming up. So I'll let our debaters go. One last thank you, AP and MA.
Can I give him one more last thought quickly? If
Sure.
you accept it, both of you. Do you accept it that I say something? Muslim apologist.
Sure.
Yeah.
What do
Okay.
you have a question or something?
No, we just asked about. I just want to clarify. In John 14:16, it does explicitly say, "But the Paraclete, so the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things." So it does explicitly say Holy Spirit, just so you know.
This
That's
one,
your
or I
interpretation.
want to say thank you very much, folks. I'm going to let the debaters go. Stick around. We'll be back right in literally 19 seconds. Time me. 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm not dying. Get out
Folks, I was not messing around. We have some really big stuff coming up. So I got to tell you a few things that are coming up. As you know, I had mentioned this upcoming debate between Andrew Wilson and Apostate Prophet will be at the University of North Carolina, Asheville. If you are anywhere near North Carolina, come out to this debate. Meet AP, meet Andrew Wilson. You can meet Sean from Uncensored America. He's a good friend of mine. And like I said, Uncensored America is like a collaborative partner for Modern Day Debate. We're kind of like sister organizations. And Apostate Prophet, thanks for your support in the live chat. Says, thanks everyone. Much love. And also, yeah, thanks AP for your donation to the crowd fund, or I should say the GoFundMe for these lenses that we want to buy instead of rent. It just makes sense. If you're going to rent something, as you guys know, like let's say a tux, and you're like, well, I'm only going to wear it once, then yeah, rent it. It's cheaper to just rent it. But if you are going to wear a tux and you let's say yeah, I'll wear this many times and I'll still be able to fit into it. That's a big deal. then yeah, it's like it very easily could be financially smarter to just buy it rather than rent it over and over, especially because tuxedo rentals are pretty pricey, for real. Here's the trick. For these camera lenses, these are the same ones we used at DebateCon 5. These are not like newer ones. We're like, hey, we thought DebateCon 5 had tremendous video and audio quality. So we're like, hey, like this is good. This is right where we need to be professionally speaking. This is awesome. But we're like, hey, well, we could rent it for $200 per lens each time because we get 4 lenses. We have one on each speaker. We have one wide shot of both speakers, and then we have one that'll show the audience, especially during the Q&A. With that, it's like, well, we could keep renting it where it's no joke. It's about $1,000 to rent one of these fancy lenses. Or it's like, or I'm sorry, it's $200 to rent it, or you could buy it for 1,000. And for us, it's like, well, wait, so if we buy it and we use it 5 times, it already has paid for itself, right? Because 5 times 200 basically means like, all right, you've broken even. So then each time in addition to that, 5 times, which you think for sure we'll use them 5 times, Lord willing, is our plan this year. Well, then if we use them as we anticipate, maybe like 7 or 8 times this year, then that's each time $200 that we save every time we use the camera lens after that first 5. So that adds up. That's a lot. And here's the trick. I've got to be honest. I'm just going to be real with you guys. Not all debaters. In fact, I've got to be honest. For example, like Apostate Prophet and David Wood they just want to debate. They are just like, hey, fly me out. Can you take care of my travel? I just want to debate and get my message out. They don't really want money. Like which is super generous of them because for modern day debate those events it's expensive for us to put those on, but the kind of I don't know, call it whatever you want. I don't think it's bad that debaters sometimes want money, but it is true a lot of debaters are heavily coin operated, and what I mean by that is like some of them want big cash in order to show up, like thousands of dollars. And it's like, well, if we want to get those big speakers, this, namely buying these lenses rather than renting them over and over, is smart because the money that we are not having to put toward renting lenses over and over, we can use to get bigger speakers. It's just smart. It's clever. So I've got to tell you, your guys' support of this GoFundMe means more than you know. We already crushed it today this is like a fantastic start. I'm very excited that we got 315 now. So thanks for that extra. We just had another $10 donated 2 minutes ago from Anonymous. Thank you for your support. Seriously, that means more than you know, is that we're going to buy these lenses and we have little time before the next debate where we're like, hey, we want to actually use them right away for this next debate with Andrew Wilson and Apostate Prophet. So as Ted East says in the live chat, you got to pay for good debates. I've got to tell you, yeah, sometimes people are like, well, James, like we try to make them as free as possible, even the live streams, which is like kind of sets us apart from other promotions. Because most channels that are hosting these will be like, well, it's $50 to watch it live. And in some cases, I think that it's because the speaker wants a ton of money. And like I said, I don't think that's necessarily wrong. It could be greed, but it doesn't have to be greed. I mean, their time is worth a lot. And if they make $1,000 doing a live stream at home every day, well, then for them to fly out to an event like this just to break even, they're like, can you at least give me like a few $1,000s and cover my travel, which is going to end up being like $4,000, let's say. There are other debaters where it's like they maybe make like $2,000 a day. And so for them, they want more money and we're like, hey, makes sense. Like, your time is valuable. So I'm not condemning anybody, but I am saying some of these speakers want a lot of money. And we are working on being clever with, we sell tickets, we get sponsors for these events. We're trying to work on like, what can we sell at the event? Like resources like books or modern day debate t-shirts, whatever it is. We're trying to get better at that because we haven't really done a good job with that. There's a lot of potential there. But I've got to tell you that these events, nonetheless, I probably, I don't know, put in like 100 hours or something. It was just so many hours to where it was like, holy smokes. this is a massive amount of preparation for DebateCon 5. And we were grateful that it was like, hey, we finally did actually have, I think we came out like 2 or 3 grand ahead. And that's rare. We usually break even. And in that case, as we've told you, we are reinvesting those funds back into future conferences. Because that 3 grand or so that we came out ahead, it's probably somewhere between 2 and 3 grand. That would be like a quasi popular speaker. Like that's the kind of honorarium they would want. And so I got to tell you, that's a big deal in terms of things are expensive. So we do appreciate your support. We don't deserve it. I hope you never feel guilty or pressured. If you're like, I actually, James, whether it be that you're like, I can't afford it, or you're like, I can afford it, but I just have other things I want to spend my money on, that's okay. Don't feel obligated or pushed. We appreciate your support. We never feel entitled to it. So for those of you who have donated for that, thank you. And never feel pressured if you didn't. Don't feel like we're trying to put pressure on you. What OJ NAFTA says. So James, should there be a penalty charge for a speaker who rage quits? I don't know. Maybe. I got to be honest with you. We are going to have debaters on contract for future debates in person, like DebateCon, because the contract is going to have a penalty built into it if a debater backs out, like let's say 2 weeks before an event, and we already spent money advertising that debater would be there. It's not a very professional move for someone to back out. So we are actually moving to a contract model where all the debaters are going to be on contract. Some of those contracts will have honorariums built into them, and then, like I said, a lot of dudes, uh, they're just like, hey, I'm not worried about the money. I just want to get my message out there. And that's admirable. But it's also kind of like, I got to be honest, like, for example, Apostate Prophet and David Wood, they have not asked for any money. And I'm kind of like, well, hey, like, I want to give them some gift in addition to covering their travel because their time is valuable. They've helped Modern Day Debate a ton because they've come out to like many debates, especially David. He's come out to like, I don't know, a lot. And so that's a big deal where it's like, hey, we'd like to give them at least a small honorarium, especially if their opponent is getting like $3,500, which sometimes is the case. That's the most we've ever given for a single speaker. It's $3,500, pretty good chunk of cash. And that's something where we're like, hey, well, we should give David and AP at least something, like to try to help support them and say thank you. It's kind of it's a way that we can kind of give feedback both verbally and also like with a gift, like a kind of a small act of love to say, hey, thank you for coming out. So yeah, we were excited though. Jim Berman says, get a shirt with your face on it. That's a funny idea. It's not impossible. We actually are, no joke, we want to work on like what things can we sell at the actual conference, because that's something that it's like, oh, that's like a total possible avenue. There's so much potential there. Gabriel Valencia says, God bless you on your road to full time. Thanks, Gabriel. And I'm excited for that. Yeah, that's the thing is we would never buy lenses like I told Sean, because Sean and I are talking about it together where we're like, hey, if we use these for both of our events, so Modern Day Debate, we use them at DebateCon, we use them at the Outnumbered, which by the way, Outnumbered is like not just Modern Day Debate, that's also Uncensored America, where it's a collaboration. And we're going to use the lenses for that too. And then we're going to release that footage on Modern Day Debate, for example, as well as Uncensored America. And Uncensored America is raising funds. They have the gift of being connected with a university. They can actually get university funds to help pay for cameras. So that's awesome. But nonetheless, Modern Day Debate, we want to do our part. And thank you for your kind words, though, Gabriel. And Governor Fat Ass Dog says, do a debate in Detroit. That's not impossible. Detroit is actually becoming a more viable option. OJ NAFTA says, I understand paying their expenses, but pay on the side. You're giving them a platform and an audience. That's how it should be. I agree. Although at the same time, like some of these debaters are so big time that they're actually platforming us just by coming on Modern Day Debate. So for example, like if they have 1 million subs, like Modern Day Debate only has like 220, I think 219, not even. So it's like, hey, actually, we are getting it's a huge help. branding wise, if people see like, wow, Modern Day Debate is hosting big time debates now. And Gabriel Valencia says, I forgive you for not hosting DC6 in Dallas. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. That's right. DebateCon 6 will be in Nashville this fall. And it is just a rumor. So just keep in mind that I'm not confirming it. I'm just saying that we're in talks with Dr. Bart Ehrman about possible debates at DebateCon, where he would, just theoretically maybe debate inspiring philosophy, or maybe David Wood. So that's the kind of stuff that we want to move into in terms of, hey, we want to take the next step up. Is that people want these debates. Very few platforms do them anymore. I don't know if you guys remember Fixed Point Foundation, but they put on the debates that were like juggernaut level, like Christopher Hitchens and John Lennox, or Christopher Hitchens and Dinesh D'Souza. These headliner debates that got like tens of millions of views probably on YouTube. And Riker says, what was the inspiration to start your channel? It was because I used to be a debater, and I sometimes thought that some channels, not all, were not always fair, where it was like, okay, the moderator clearly has a side. It's very obvious like what the moderator's position is on this issue. If the moderator, let's say, not only, because it's one thing if the moderator, like, they're maybe trying to, like, if they're not doing a good job of giving roughly equal time to the debaters, but also some moderators will like jump into the debate and basically like start debating. Like they'll actually like start raising objections to one of the guests, where it's like, wait, like that's not even an objection from the Q&A questions or from the other opponent, the other debater. That's just one that the moderator is like keeps pushing these questions into the chat or the dialogue. And it's like, this isn't really fair. Thanks for your support. I see your super chat there. The Muslim Apologist, I appreciate that. Says, thank you, James, for allowing me to participate on Modern Day Debate. I appreciate you coming out, Muslim Apologist. And especially given that it's been insanely early in the morning over there, I appreciate you being so flexible. And yeah, we are, I've got to tell you, so there's Outnumbered, where that's going to be our own version of Jubilee's Surrounded. Thank you for your kind words, PB and TJELLE. And thanks, Brandon Nesbitt, for your kind words too. Thanks for your positivity and your support, folks. You guys are a really positive crew. I've noticed that where I'm like, hey, David Wood and Apostate Prophets audience is like super supportive of Modern Day Debate. So I appreciate the positivity. As like sometimes, but yeah, long story short, we're only 25 likes away from 500. So if there are, out of the people that are watching live, 441, if there are just 25 people that have not hit like yet, we can hit 500 likes. That means more than you know. So thank you guys for your support that way. Let's see, other stuff. So we are potentially going to do like we have the DebateCon conference this fall, probably in late October, still being confirmed. We also might do something like Modern Day Debate on tour, maybe late summer or early fall, maybe even late fall, early winter. That's something that is a possibility. I'm talking to somebody, his name is Brian, and we're talking about the possibility of doing these events that are basically like high level speakers in a tour where we go to different cities, like one every weekend. So it'd be pretty intense. And that would give you a chance if you want to come out and see a debate live and in person too. Santos Flow says, any Easter debates scheduled? We will probably have a debate scheduled on whether or not Jesus rose from the dead on Saturday, like April 18th or so. I can't remember if that 19th, that's when it would be if it's a Saturday. It might also be Friday the 18th. That's still being decided. And thank you guys though. Stop sinning every day. Thanks for your kind words. Says we'd love to see that level of debate on Modern Day Debate. And that's what we're working towards. So thank you guys for your support. We're excited about the future. Big things are coming at Modern Day Debate. Thank you guys for your support of the fundraiser. Do one last check in there. And yeah, you guys, I'm encouraged that we've already gotten to about close to 10% for the fundraiser for these lenses. So thank you guys for your support. That's a great start from one debate. Like that's fantastic. So thank you guys. We're excited about the future. We'll see you at the next debate. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable, and we'll see you at the next debate.